forget to start recording. Anyway, we'll just pretend I have been. So Draenus, it's good, but due to the genre that it is, and the girlfriend falling down in the background. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, but I don't think it's gonna be anyone's favorite game or favorite shmup or anything. Some guy keeps playing PUBG. I don't remember that one. Is she like yelling out in pain or something? Anyway, Draenus was good. I liked it more than Wishslayer. I liked it more than Night's End. And honestly, I think it's got more going for it than Nomad or Vampire Survivors. It's similar to Flashback, actually. There are shmups that aren't about memorization, yeah, but it's like a separate category almost. Like there's the ones that you know, it's all about these like super dense patterns that you like muscle memory play your ship through like a piano piece. And then there's, I mean, like all Euro shmups, you're reacting more because you have like a health bar, which I'm gonna talk about more. Still talking about boring old shmups instead of Infra. Well, we'll get to Infra. We'll get to Infra, Aki. So yeah, like Flashback, the main draw here is the art and animation. And as much as I like the animation in Flashback, the gameplay itself is pretty miserable. Save the filet mignon for the main course. Yeah, this is like some bread and oil that I just sat here, and now once I wrap this up, I'm gonna swing back around and be like, oh, you want some more bread? Because I'm immediately gonna go into Jets and Guns too. I'm gonna put it below Buck Rogers, actually. And that's because I think a lot of people will have like a fun playthrough or two of Draenus, but I think there might be someone who really thinks the Buck Rogers RPG is cool. I don't think anyone's gonna be that blown away by Draenus. Alright, so as I promised, how's the music, by the way? You guys hear it? So instead of the Game Awards. Yes. Alright, Jets and Guns 2. This is the sequel to Jets and Guns, obviously, which is a Czech Euro shmup. It's if you've ever played Tyrion, which I mean, there's no reason not to have. It's free. It's basically the same thing, but as a horizontal shmup instead of a vertical one. What's up, Franken? Czech Euro shmup. Yep. I'm shocked that Apple's not into this, but it's not for everyone. If you like the stuff in Tyrion where you like try out different like weapon types and upgrading them and playing around with it, like Jets and Guns is probably a lot of fun. I like Tyrion. Well, you should check the first Jets and Guns out. But I only use Vulcan. You can get away with that, I think, in the first Jets and Guns. The first one of the problems I have with this game compared to the first game is that they standardized the upgrade paths. So every weapon in Jets and Guns 2 has exactly I think it's exactly 5 levels that you can upgrade it to. But they're also scaled based on when you unlock them in the campaign. So essentially every weapon at its max level is like in a strictly linear scale of DPS, and the game even shows you what the DPS is, which obviously isn't directly relevant for stuff like, you know, the wide angle shots, but it's still kind of disappointing because there's not really any like there's not really much decision making you actually make, because you can pretty easily just max out whatever the new highest DPS weapon is. But in the first game, they had different upgrade levels, so you could like go with the Vulcan equivalent. And just like keep pumping it and just get in stuff's face. This has a few other problems. The main problem I had with this game compared to the first one is the bosses, some of the boss fights especially, are just really obnoxious. It has this thing where the bosses have like a shared health bar, and as you bust pieces of it, it breaks that weapon, and the boss can't use that attack anymore. That's a really cool idea. Unfortunately, breaking like most of the weapons off is not enough, I think, in any of them to actually kill the boss. Almost every boss has like a core at some point that it occasionally reveals, and 90% of the time you spend the last like 20 to 30% of the boss fight just waiting for it to expose its core a couple times so that you can finish it off, which is never really that fun, and a lot of the time it ends up outright killing you. Woman instantly destroys it. So yeah, I like playing through Jets and Guns too, but I like it a lot less than the first game. I just think the first game's more fun in a lot of ways, and in the sequel they tried to balance it more, but that winds up making it not as interesting or fun. So it's definitely below Drainus. I was more disappointed with Jets and Guns 2 as a sequel to Jets and Guns than I was by Night's End, even though Night's End is probably the worst Scoutfold game. And since it is a sequel, it's not as interesting as Wishlayer. I think it does have more going for it than this Starry Midnight, though, but only barely. Let's see here. Jets and Guns 2. All right. I think I'm gonna do Haiku the Robot. This is one, I can't remember who, I think maybe Calixtus said I would really like, and it's just kind of boring, honestly. It's another, Metroidvania, like Hollow Knight style game where you have a short-range melee attack. You can pogo off of enemies, I think. I don't actually remember. But just the pacing of it and the structure feels really rote. And there's a lot of just kind of bizarrely irritating things about, like, those enemies, the scissor enemies. They just have a lot of health for some reason. There's not really that much enemy variety. There's enemies that kind of like shuffle back and forth, and then there's enemies that float around. And that's basically it. Mac, hush. Hush. I'm trying to refresh my memory on what's even here in this. He knows. Yeah, it's even got a lot of the same upgrades as Hollow Knight. There's that zipline thing that's sort of like the Crystal Dash. The fast travel system's kind of annoying because the hub points are just kind of in arbitrary spots, and you wind up having to walk around a lot anyway. Oh, perfect timing. So yeah, I don't know, I just don't have much feeling towards Haiku in general. I never really want to play it again. It's not terrible, but it's worse. It's pretty boring. I just finished reading your info review, Rude. Well, do you want to talk about it? Let's see here. I think I'm going to put it right above Transit Ruby. Transit Ruby is even more dull and pointless. And it's a similar sort of game. Woo! Let me see if I remember how microphones work. Okay. Take your time. Nobody here is busy anyway. The weird thing about Haiku is I have Kunai, but I haven't played it yet. I think it was just like, you can really tell in Haiku that they were trying to rip off Hollow Knight, which is fine, but they didn't really do anything interesting with it. There's a really dumb mechanic where your healing is a charged healing, like in Hollow Knight, which is good. Like, a channeled healing's good for a game like this, especially if they design the encounters around it. Should have called it Hollow Ripoff, yeah. But the problem is that it consumes your currency, like, in chunks. I think it's like 3 gears per like turn that you're healing, and you have to be constantly healing for several turns in order to actually heal one of your health points. And it just always feels like a waste. I don't even remember what happens if you die, if you have to do a corpse run or anything. And all the bosses are kind of the same thing. Like they're like a little infection that gets into these bigger robots, and then you beat the bigger robot up. I don't even remember any of them having an interesting fight. Oh yeah, and it's got the heating thing too, which is sort of like a stamina thing that prevents you from spamming your, dodge roll or fast movement abilities, which is dumb and annoying because you always want to be moving as fast as possible, but you have to constantly stop. And then there's like an area where it's just constantly maxed out, so you can't do any of your movement abilities. It's always fun. And the graphics aren't that nice. Like, they're fine. There's no problems with the animation or anything, but it's just kind of a dull look. And yes, I realize this looks like the palette's very similar to Road Warden, which I gloat about, but Road Warden is a visual novel, so it doesn't matter that the palette is kind of dull. Like, even Hollow Knight had, like, the contrast was at least good. This, everything's just kind of bland looking. Like, not bad, but blandly fine. I don't know if we should even try and squeeze anything else in here while waiting for She Slept. I know, She Slept, you said you wanted to talk about Sifu. I already ranked it. I ranked it pretty high. I don't know. A lot of people have been complaining about it. I thought it was fine as like a modern beat 'em up. Alright, later, Jenny. I'm also surprised She Slept didn't play Tunic. Oh god, Gato Roboto. Gato Roboto isn't even like a week-long game that you play and forget about. Like, I think I played and forgot about it in one sitting. Oh, I hated that. I still liked it better than Metroid Dread. Fair enough. Metroid Dread is like watching a loved one fade away after a stroke. Gato Roboto was like a relative's annoying kid that you have to like listen to his story while you're visiting. Like, yeah. Oh, you remember cassette tapes. Okay. Yeah, I remember cassette tapes too. No, this isn't really a Metroidvania. I can tell it's not because it's only like 2 hours long. Yeah, that had a lot of the same problems as this game with like the weird stamina system where all the weapons were bound to stamina. So, like the missile launcher, which I thought that at the time, I thought that was actually kind of a cool balancing feature so that you don't just like get a giant stockpile of missiles that you spam at a boss and hope you get through and don't have to farm it. But it definitely works out worse here in Haiku. Gato Roboto also actually had the one gimmick of you leaving the robot or the mech. You tried to overcompensate with mechanics. Well, I think that's what they were going for with the whole leaving the mech thing. It's just they didn't actually do much with that. Like all of the leaving the mech things just turned it into a spike dodger. Or you like swimming through or like going through morph ball tunnels. Yeah. I'm sure Jenny would be mad if I did milk inside a bag of milk inside a bag of milk without him. I'm surprised nobody wants to talk about Pentiment. What a train wreck. Making Jenny mad. Sign me up. Oops. Alright, Froggen. This is... Did I really not already do this? I feel like I already did this one. I guess not. Yeah, Froggen is just... It's alright. I don't really have much to say about it. Like, it doesn't have that good of a gimmick for a platformer. Like, the whole grappling tongue thing it feels like the first ability you would get in a game like this, but it ends up being the only ability. And that's really kind of disappointing. Because the level design never actually gets that much more complicated. It's just you get longer chains of things that you have to grapple to in sequence. See, like, this is like the height of the complexity of the levels. And then I complained in the thread about the whole death animation thing, which I still don't really get that. Also, the fact that all the enemies are like instantly die if you either jump on them or grapple them. There's like a handful of enemies that you have to throw something at to kill them, but that's about it. Like, I guess this would be passable if you were really into like the speedrunning aspect of it, but I'm not. Honestly, I think Yooka-Laylee is better overall just because there's more like different types of things going on with the gameplay. Like, this all feels pretty much the same. And there's the whole impossible layer aspect of it, where like you can challenge yourself to do that super early or with a super low number of deaths. And this doesn't have anything remotely like that. It's got like the boss rush and then the harder boss rush. Always is, Sheeslup. It always is. I don't know how I feel about it compared to like Ghost Song. Ghost Song is another game that I'm like not horrified by or mad at. I just don't. Actually, I am kind of mad at Ghost Song because that's a genre that I'm more invested in. Is actually just on my desk. Alright, Froggen. Well, let me know when you're all hooked up and ready, and I'll give you a call. I mean, the main thing is hopefully your internet isn't crap like it usually is. Alright, are you ready for me to call you? Or do you need to, like, set it up? Yeah. Hey, she slept.
Is it working?
It's working.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Find the button to mute the mic. Mute the mic. Hello.
Hello. I'm also going to turn down the music a little bit because you're a tiny bit quiet, but it's fine.
That's fine. I'm going to turn the stream down just because I can hear you over the Steam thing, I think.
Oh, well, just mute the stream, I think.
Yeah. Don't really hear
Froggun.
Froggun. It looks horrible.
Oh, it's...
It's nauseating me, bad looking.
It's not that bad to play. It's just kind of boring, and it only has one gimmick as far as the movement goes. It's got.
I feel like I keep seeing games that look like that though, and it's got this creepy looking vibe that I can't quite describe.
Well, I mentioned it in my post about it, but the one thing that's really off-putting about that game, I'll go ahead and bring it back up, is
it Sprite in the shop?
No, it's... Well, the shop has, like, a bunch of, like, fan art, I guess, that they stole, and... Because I guess people were...
Bad.
Yeah, well, people were, like, already drawing fan art of it before it came out, because, oh, what a goofy concept. It's a frog that's a gun.
Yeah.
But the thing that really bothered me is this. When you fall into water, like, if you die or fall off a, infinite drop, she does this, like she's throwing a little tantrum, or, she's...
But she's fine.
Right. But when she lands in water, she does that for a second, and then she just, like, opens her eyes, smiles, and is, like, laying there, like, perfectly fine. And I don't know why they did that. It felt like...
Lighten the tone, I guess, but...
Yeah, but it's just a weird... It's a really weird... It feels...
loads of stakes.
It feels like they were...
Makes you look like a bastard.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, it feels like they were trying to get a... It feels like they were trying to get ahead of some sort of controversy, but nobody would have given a shit.
It feels like they're trying to lighten the tone, but at the same time, it just feels like it kind of makes it grotesque. Because if you go around killing things, but there's no threat to you, and it's like, what is this?
Yeah.
Just crushing bugs, are you?
Yeah. Yes.
Makes it look like a jerk.
Well, you kind of are a jerk, and you wind up, like, racing the snake kid a lot, even though there's no point to it. Like, I don't know what happens if you lose the race, because I never lost the race. But yeah,
it's not really aesthetic. I feel like I've seen a few games that go for that, like Mega Man Legends, or so. I know it's the PSX aesthetic, but it's also like something else beyond that, where it just feels a bit more mentally ill.
Yeah, the molesting.
You'd fit it, to be honest. Yeah, that kind of vibe.
Molestation punk.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm done talking about Froggun. Let's move on.
Think about that again.
What game do you want to start with?
Oh, what games you got lined up?
Well,
the lights.
Obviously you want to do Infra, but you also mentioned Signalis, which I would really like to talk about.
Yeah, I can talk about Signalis. I just finished watching that guy's stream of it, and he was... God, I hate streamers.
You do,
huh? That guy did great Let's Plays. No, that guy did great Let's Plays, and now he streams, because obviously it's easier to stream, because like, any idiot can stream, right? But,
I mean, I'm proving that. Yeah, well, yeah. Like I said to you yesterday, I think he probably just ran out of games that he actually gives a shit about, and he doesn't...
I don't think he's into that one.
Well,
which is weird, because he's usually, like, he likes horror, he likes survival horror, so I thought, he's going to like that game, but I think he found it, like, challenged him gameplay-wise, and it upset him. I think what happened is if he played it, like, on his own time, he would have probably figured out its quirks, and then said, it's game of the year kind of thing, but playing it on stream made him look like an ass. So when you finish, he's a bit like, okay,
Yeah, like
it's an okay game.
when you get embarrassed by something in front of people and it's not
Yeah,
really that complex.
that's the thing about Signalis is that compared to the Resident Evil remake, it's like trying to invoke it, but it's not even close.
Well, I mean,
Well, the
that's
physics are way off.
I think that's fine as far as it just being sort of like stylistically and gameplay wise an homage to that type of horror game. I think
I,
the focus is more on the setting and the character story stuff in this.
yeah, which isn't a strong point either.
Well, it's not
It's got
as
great presentation for a bad story.
yeah. I don't think it's a bad story. I think it's not as
Hey, did you
deep
see his
as
ending? This is spoilers.
well, whatever. I mean,
Which one is that? Is that the one where you walk away?
yeah, that's the leave ending, and I also so I've got a lot to talk about with the way this game handles the endings, but I got the leave ending, and then I intentionally died to the final boss several times so that I could get the memory ending.
I got the promise ending, which seems to be the one that everyone gets.
Promise
That's
ending
the one where you
is
strangle her.
I
Spoilers.
never got that one. Which is disappointing because that seemed like the proper ending. I think.
It did feel. I thought when it's got other endings, I thought, oh, it seemed like one of the other endings are going to be happier maybe, but it sounded like they're all kind of. It didn't sound as good.
Grim.
Like no, not that. It's just more the other endings seem like it's supposed to be like, oh, you fucked up, try again, kind of thing. But then you, I was like to get all of them. I
Well,
don't know the end.
I so my tag for this game was this is a game about lesbian robots dying of radiation poisoning, and that
Only one robot.
I
The
think
robot
that's
doesn't die.
what are you talking about?
The Elster unit doesn't die. She survives the Penrose program, and they use her brain to clone more Penrose robots because they lost the original pattern in an archive fire. Which is
Well,
why all the Elster units are fucked up because they're now based on the Elster that has the memory of the hot lesbian Gestalt.
see the timeline on that is kind of weird. Um,
The timeline's fucked up, and I've thought about it, and I think it's probably not worth thinking about too hard because I'm sure the developers didn't.
Morale. I don't know about that. I think they probably put a lot of thought into it and tried to like intentionally obfuscate it, but they
did,
weren't that
but
good at it.
it's undermined by all the references. I feel like they try and squeeze them in. Like maybe the flesh represents something, but it's also just a cool horror genre thing to have. Wall meat.
Well, the
Everyone
flesh.
loves the wall meat.
I think the flesh represents what's her name, the your Gestalt partner's obsession with the fact that she's dying of radiation poisoning, and like her flesh is changing,
Yeah, I suppose it's
and
all cancers and tumors.
her teeth are falling out. And there's even that one
there's
item that you pick up
A
on
plate, yeah.
with a plate of
Dinner
lust
tray.
teeth.
Didn't think about that actually. It's such a deep game. There's so many,
I
so
know.
many avenues to explore.
God, it's like an onion. We're just peeling back more and more layers of it.
That was alright.
I liked the story, but again, like I did play it on my own time. I wasn't like constantly grading against the mechanics, although the mechanics are grating.
The mechanics, I like the back and forth. Like I say, the joke I had in my head, which I think is extremely funny, is to call it Squirrel Simulator. It's like
Yeah,
you go out in the wild, picking up nuts and just running them back to your box.
yeah. The
And you feel
problem,
good about doing that.
the big problem with that one is that there's too many situations where you pick up half a key, and it won't. If you're full, it won't
Yeah.
let you pick up the other half of the key and just put them together.
Problem I have is there's too many ammo types.
That's the
Like-
other big problem, and none of the weapons are good.
One of the things I would do in the Resident Evil remake is I'd actually leave ammo in the environment rather than take it back to the box because then I think, oh, I'm heading back out that way. I'll take the shotgun and then I'll pick that ammo up as I'm heading that way to reload because I'm going to shoot that zombie. And there's lots of like planning going on. Whereas this game, you never really needed a plan because you just kind of walk by everything.
Yeah,
The game also gives you way too many items, and then you're getting so many different ammo types. There's nothing to plan around, so you just kind of, I don't know,
wing
just
it.
play Resident Evil. That's what I mean. The Resident Evil remake is great. I always play it as Chris because he gets the flamethrower.
Yeah.
I don't even think I even played as Jill. No, I played the Resident Evil remake as Jill, but I played it as Chris first.
I still haven't played any of them. I'll
Really, the
probably
Resident Evil remake?
I'll
Oh, you mean
yeah.
the original remake, the GameCube one that's got a PC port a few years back?
Any of them. I have them all, but I
Oh,
haven't
I should
played
play
any
that.
of
It's an
them.
all-time classic. Everything this game does is trying to be that, but dropping the ball. You really should play it. It's quite the game.
I
Then
didn't.
play Martian Gothic.
I thought it was trying to emulate the originals more than the remakes, but maybe you're
The
right.
remake adds the the flare item they used to burn bodies. It's
Yeah,
got something like that
the
where you use
thermite flares or whatever.
that's it, thermite flares. No, the Resident Evil remake it has like a flask that you fill it with kerosene from containers, but
Yeah.
it only has two charges, and you use that to burn the bodies. I think you might also need the lighter, which Chris has as a default item to make up for the fact that he's only got 6 inventory slots.
Oh, speaking of that, everyone's DFD especially, is saying like, oh, this, you're complaining about this, but that's how you play as Chris in Resident Evil, blah blah
Yeah, you
blah.
don't take like
But
extra ammo unless you know you're gonna shoot something quite quickly, then load the ammo into the gun you got. Otherwise, you just take the gun with as many bullets as you can fit into it.
right,
Maybe even not. You might even think, don't want to reload this gun because there's ammo on the way that I'd like to pick up and then put into the gun.
yeah,
And it's surprisingly fun to think about that kind of stuff, and it's the kind of thing I like.
yeah. It's a different sort of inventory management from like the inventory Tetris, which I think
Yeah,
is really
exactly.
fun.
Really
Um,
takes the environment into account.
Yeah. But so what I was saying is, the whole, you play this like Chris, you only have 6 inventory slots. Yes, but Chris gets the lighter as default item, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
There's no lighter in this game, but
no, there's a
flashlight probably takes up.
flashlight. Yeah, which
Yeah, that's. I don't know how I feel about the flashlight because I feel like it was kind of a fun idea to give you a flashlight and then say actually it really sucks and takes some inventory space, so you only want to carry it with you if you like, need it for a key kind of situation.
yeah,
But
the
the flip side is
problem.
also that having the flashlight on alerts the zombies, so you probably don't want it on anyways.
Well,
So
but the problem is you need to carry it around with you because they lock some of the doors with it.
you find the doors that are locked with it, and then you head back, and then you take it with you for different routes because you're already taking trips back to the box anyways, just to carry like I don't know revolver bullets or the bullets for the big rifle that you never use in the whole game.
It's too much. It's just too much. Like I'm fine with that conceptually if this game had more going on with it mechanically, but it
I
doesn't.
don't think
So that winds up feeling like fluff or filler.
the back and forth. Oh, of course, that's how the game's structured.
No, no, I
But
mean I mean specifically the stuff where like you find a door that you can't go through because you don't have the flashlight. And you go, oh, now I have to go get the flashlight.
I
Or
like the
just
idea of
carry
having
the
a
flashlight around with me the whole time.
I like the idea of having a reusable key actually. You don't want to carry with you all the time, but I like the idea of having a reusable key because otherwise it's like keys are single use. I don't think whether in the Resident Evil remake, DF2 probably remember. Like you get like the the key of clubs or whatever. And I don't think you use it in one. I think you use it on several doors, and then when you use it on the final one, it tells you you can get rid of this now.
Hmm.
But I think the flashlight kind of held that purpose, and it's like a key used on multiple doors. And generally, you see a room that you can't go through because it's dark. You think, all right, that's locked in inverted commas. I'll come back later when I have my flashlight.
Yeah.
You might even think, oh, there's a couple of locked in inverted commas doors to come back to.
Yeah. The
Anyways, yeah.
I was gonna I can't. Oh, the locked doors thing. So I didn't realize when I was playing through it that the map actually automatically marks which doors are locked and which ones aren't when you pass by them. I thought you had to like jimmy the handle for each one. So like if you got to a locked door, I would jimmy the handle so that it would
Oh,
mark it on the map.
that's actually
Apparently,
one of the great features this game has is just you walk past the locked door and it just marks it.
yeah, well, I didn't realize that at first because I mean, when has that ever been the case? So
It's
I jimmied every handle, and then when I got to the end and looked up the requirements for the different endings, apparently when they data mined it,
ooh, that
jimmying the
counts.
handle of a locked door apparently contributes to one of the endings. To
I
getting
Do you
them.
meet all the locked doors that were like orange locked? Because it give you a description on how it's locked, like it locks
No,
from the other side or whatever.
I don't think so.
Just
No,
the red ones.
just the red ones. Yeah.
Oh man, so you got the Silent Hill ending.
Just that's good. Yeah, you have to manually check them in Silent Hill. Yeah. Yeah.
I liked that in Silent Hill, to be honest. There was something nice about filling the maps out. I mean, Silent Hill's not that good a game. It's great visually, great stuff. But it's a
Thematically.
terrible game. Yeah, the game sucks. But the thing it actually has is actual gameplay that keeps them compelling is filling out a map. Kind of like, just running errands. I don't know why, but I like running errands in games.
I know.
I
We'll
people
get to
play,
that.
like,
We'll get to
across-
that.
No,
You
no,
were-
Oh. Oh, yeah, Infra. Very funny.
Thank you. Sorry, what were you saying? People about running errands?
Just that I think that's the main gameplay of Silent Hill. I think the shooting's not got much going on. You never have to manage resources. The boss fight's all stupid. The puzzles actually, sometimes the puzzles are a bit tricky, but
The puzzles
They're
are
not
sometimes just inane.
they're very compartmentalized kind of thing. Oh, it's just getting an item and going to another place. But
Yeah.
it's just mostly it's going around filling out a map, and there's something nice about waking up in like the hell world kind of thing, and everything's all creepy and fucked up. But you're gonna check every door, and eventually that map becomes yours because every little corner of it kind of thing. You can look at your map and say, oh, I might be in hell, but I know which doors are locked, which ain't.
Yeah, speaking of that, one thing that really annoyed me about Signalis is the fact that some of the areas aren't mapped. Like, you don't ever get a map.
That was
It just feels
stupid.
pointless.
It really was. What they should have done is had it for the one bit where you go back to the first base, so you know the layout, but
Yeah.
it's all overrun by meat, and you don't have the map data, and that would have been kind of creepy. But they blew that on the nowhere area, so
Yeah, the nowhere
It
area
didn't
really
need
pissed me
much.
off.
it needed a map.
Yeah. And I get it. It's not a real place, like, even more so than the rest of the game.
I don't know what you need is some creepy map, like a thief map that fills out as you go in two places,
Yeah.
and you have weird stuff. I mean, there's loads of potential for horror in that because you check the map so much, you kind of want stuff to happen.
Yeah.
What I thought sucked was the rot front where the flesh is kind of overtaken routes you've already taken before.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. They could have done more with that, but that should have also marked on the map just if rooms vanished kind of thing. That would be kind of, a little bit creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you started to get, like, more signals. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk
The
about.
radio sucked.
Oh, you thought the radio sucked? I thought the radio was kind of cool.
I played Siren, which you've played Siren, right? At least you're familiar with it.
Yes.
It's got one of my favorite mechanics in the game, which is where you use the analog stick to kind of tune in to like the sight of the zombies that are going around.
Mhm.
It's a stealth game primarily, and I think that's just a really creepy thing because you see the zombies the Shibito doing things like building stuff or just praying in front of shrines, everyday kind of things.
Yeah.
It's a really good little creepy game, but I kind of expected something like that in Signalis. I always thought maybe the zombies, the zombie robots are emitting some signals. So when I was sneaking around, sometimes you go through a door and be a zombie right in front of it, and they'd hit you as soon as you went out. And that was just really annoying. So I thought, the obvious thing to do would be to tune in the radio, and they'll emit a signal that you can detect, and then you can tell if you're getting close to them, kind of thing. And it'd fit in with the Silent Hill radio.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't actually happen. The radio's just kind of there to solve a couple of puzzles and to be kind of creepy as you slowly go through it, as well as the Colibri enemies, but they were not that great.
No, it was fine. It would have been fine once or twice. I think they had like one or two too many of them.
I don't think people didn't realize you can shoot them. At least that one guy I watched streaming it, super great friend. He's a great Let's Player, but he's a terrible streamer. He never figured out that you could it point towards the main one you could shoot. So every time he's in like a room that had Colibris and a couple of enemies, you'd kind of walk around, take a lot of damage. That scene in the library where she's getting hit by the guys in gas masks, that makes no sense. I never understood what that was supposed to be.
I don't know what that particular cutscene is about anyway. I think all of the first person cutscenes until you get to the beach are all very faint memories from the Gestalt's childhood. Because there's the whole thing about her being, her family
kind of thing.
Well,
Yeah,
her family being, radio outpost operators, obviously running the number station or listening in on someone else's number station.
They were playing the dial tone.
Yeah.
The number has not been recognized.
What's that?
The dial tone that's through the game. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a real number station intro.
You hear that on a telephone, man. If you dial the wrong number, it says this number has not been recognized. Please hang up and try again, or whatever it would be in your region. But apparently, it's a global thing to have that.
Yeah,
it's actually called Magpie.
Yeah, Magpie, I think.
That's what it's called in the game, but I wonder if it's that in real life.
Well, because the game also has the whole theme of the different bird names for all.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it was cute. It was fine.
I also like that the doors had little icons that you could see. So you could see like Alda's room had like a big fancy mule of an eagle, but the rest of them a bit more humble.
Yeah, that was cool.
But it's like at first you think, oh, it's like pixel art, but it actually has details that are, you know, useful, because from a distance you can say, oh, that's the hummingbird door.
Mm-hmm.
Colibri.
Yeah, I wish they'd done a little bit more with that kind of stuff. Just in general, I think there could have been a little bit more going on with this game.
I think I agree. I think it was boring from the best, but didn't understand. Like say the Resident Evil remake, I really think you should play that. But it borrows a lot of mechanics from that, because of course you would. It's the peak of survival horror, but it just didn't feel quite balanced right.
Yeah. Spooky Skater just gave me Power Slave Exhumed for Hanukkah. Ew.
I don't know what I'm thinking about video games. What are these things? I think what I played that recently this year that I thought was really good was Sonic Robo Blast 2.
Well, I didn't play that. Sonic Robo Blast 2.
It's a fan game made in the Doom engine. It's been around for years, and I always saw it and thought it looked cringe. But
I know what you're talking about.
I heard a song from it recently, and I thought, it's a good song. So I looked into it, and it's actually pretty good as a platformer.
Yeah. Oh. Probably better than Froggen. It needs another what?
Couple of updates. It's like some community crap, so they're still updating the maps to make them better. There's a couple of maps that feel a bit like, you know, not as good as some of the other maps.
Did you see the Spark the Electric Jester?
I was looking into it because I was thinking after playing that, I want to play more 3D Sonic fan games.
Right.
And no. It's...
Is it too insane for you?
Game. I don't know, it might be good. It's just every time I look at them protagonists, it's like, I don't want to play this game. That's hideous.
What did you think about the lack of feet in Signalis? Because apparently that's a reference to a particular manga artist.
Blame, right?
Blame, yeah.
Apparently this borrows a lot from Blame, which is something I've never heard of. I don't know what it's about, but stylistically it looks similar to this.
Yeah, I googled it and I was like, I guess, but it doesn't really work.
German translation is the story. It got a German translation in the 2000s, so it's very popular over there.
I see. And it's also probably popular over there because it involves cruel mutilation. So
yeah, I can imagine that.
It triggers their genetic memory of the good times.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't usually look too hard in a manga when it's like you don't hear about it much, but you get some weirdo tells you, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
You think, oh, is it great? Oh, it's because it's full of cool mutilation.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm a softie. I'm not into that.
Some of it's cool. The problem I had with it is that it just doesn't work that well in the PSX aesthetic. It just makes it when it does the cutscenes, when it's top down, looks great. I think I really like that look. Yeah, the in-engine cutscenes I thought looked really cool aside from the lack of feet, which I thought was...
They need a faces. I know they're doing a distance so no one has faces, but I think they could have given like pixel eyes.
Yeah, well, they tried to...
Metal Gear Solid.
They tried to fill that gap in with the anime stuff, which I thought stuck out like a sore thumb.
It wasn't very good anime. I think they're pretty bad drawings.
They're not terrible. I really like the propaganda posters.
Oh, they were good.
Yeah.
Okay, so who was the hottest of the robot babes?
Oof, that's a tough one, man. I mean...
Oh, no, it's not tough. There's only one answer, isn't
there? The super tall... Storch?
Yeah, of course, it's Storch.
Storch, yeah. Storch was pretty good.
Sadist. I thought it was a good stage, that when you're going on reading like the little things, you start to feel like, oh, this is like a fetish game, isn't it? So I was
Well,
actually surprised when the lesbian romance came out because I thought, oh, that's not what I expected from this.
really, you didn't expect that?
Not like it was.
Well, I mean, the way you say that makes it sound way more salacious than it is.
Oh no, I would say it was quite subtle, but still dumb.
Still dumb. I liked it. I thought it was pretty well done. I liked the fact
was
that I like the
done
fact that
fine.
I like the fact that when you're on the ship, like in when you guys had first set out, uh, and you find like your packet for the Elster units, and the big giveaway there is that it's not been opened. Like she didn't do
Yeah.
her job, and she didn't even care. Like
Uh,
what some issue would be with you or with the
I,
Elster.
yeah, I appreciate the.
It's a little
Uh,
it's a little too on the nose. Like the specific things that they note in there are just like everything that happened to have been
yeah,
shown to you.
don't show war films. Oh, we watched war films. You didn't like them.
Yeah, don't show her any photos from the war. Oh, here's a
Oh,
picture
this
of
looks just
somebody
like
from the
you.
war. Don't play music. Oh, I'm gonna keep this 24-hour trance and dance beat going.
Eh,
Yeah, it was a lot of the things were a little too on the nose, but I thought they were good in spirit. Like, I like that whole thing where, your packet is there and you finally get to read your packet, but the big giveaway is, oh, she didn't read your packet. She's just an idiot.
yeah.
And
I think she's
that's,
an idiot. I think, like you say, she didn't care. She was keen to get away from it all.
well, yeah, that's fair enough, but, you should probably do a little due diligence and, like, read the informational packet on
It's
your
a
robot.
long flight. You'll have plenty of time. You don't want to blow through all the reading material straight away.
I would have just taken an emulator and a bunch of ROMs, so.
To be fair, if you had like a sealed envelope, it's like top secret. You're gonna read that immediately, aren't you?
Absolutely, 100%, yeah. I mean, I didn't hesitate when I found it, and
Good point.
it was one of those things where, like, the whole game, because there's a whole theme in this of Elster, like, can't betray, like, some parts of her programming, right? So the whole rule of six thing is just
Yeah,
it's just a rule, but she adheres to it like ironclad, right?
I like that because it explains the dumb things like playing cards, taking up a slot each.
Yeah, but
You should be able to
um,
combine them.
but the instant she sees that fucking packet, like you can turn it down and walk away, but just, there's nothing stopping you, and I thought that was kind of weird, and I'm not sure if there's like an actual explanation for it, but
Do you actually have much programming in that regard? Because the always seem like the robots are kind of free in a regard, just under threat of being decommissioned.
yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say what the intention is of them if they're like
I'd say one of the
person.
things about the setting. Oh,
Well, what?
sorry, just gonna say one of the things about the setting. Just while I think about it, that's like weird. Is it kind of downplays the other robots. You
Right.
get them occasionally like, freaking out, but the whole concept of like the society made of identical clones that are kind of trying to keep it together.
Well, I don't think the entire
That
society
seems
is.
scarier than anything else, kind of thing.
I don't think the
Not the
entire.
entire society. The officers, I suppose. The
Yeah,
forces, the cops.
yeah. Well, I think because they're constantly talking about, oh, all the Gestalts went here, or all the Gestalts are gone, or this and that. And I think it's part of like the overall backstory of like what's actually going on in the course of the game, that there's no Gestalts except for that one girl who's looking
And
for
she,
her sister.
yeah. I didn't
And
get that. It felt a bit like a Silent Hill reference when I first played it, but then
yeah.
seeing it again was a bit like, yeah, I guess I get it.
Well, I don't know, because there's a bunch of different theories on what's the overall story arc of the game, And
Uh-oh.
I have my personal preference that I know is incorrect.
I would like things to be more literal. I don't want like, oh, it was all a dream. That's one of the things
Well,
I think is interesting about Aldo. Is he's the one guy who stops it from feeling like, oh, it was all a dream. Like, our guy's aware of what's going on to an extent.
so the thing that I think would have been the way to take it, that I don't think they actually went that route, but it you could argue up to a point for it, is that it's all a dream, but more specifically, it's all the I can't remember her name ever, because there's two different characters with similar names that look exactly the
Hey,
same.
Jackfruit.
Yeah, hey Jackfruit, but
Well, it's the elevator shaft I think is interesting, where you find the elevator shaft stuffed with your identical units,
right, that
and
he's
he
been
goes, Aldo's
shoving
been
down
chucking
there.
down.
Yeah,
So when he thinks he's in a time loop, I think it's more like he's been overseeing a fucked up base that's already had everyone die, and the robots are left to, messed up or freaking out.
well, and
And
he's supposed to be in control of it in conjunction with Falca, but
and he's also infected, but he's also very stable because like nerd just wants to write. As
yeah.
long as he fills that diary in every day, he keeps himself. I mean, he becomes like a full-on zombie at the end, but I suppose he's still writing that diary, so he's doing all right.
Well, the I think the reason he becomes a full on zombie is he gets trapped in this area of the memory, or the thought realm or whatever.
I don't know how much is a thought realm. I mean, obviously nowhere is, but
Well,
I don't
so
think he ever goes through the gate. He just sits next to it, right?
right, that I think that's part of the point, is that he never like cycles over. He's staying on one side of the gate, so that he's
Well,
always the same and deteriorating over time, even
I
though like the
think
Elsters
rather than
keep coming.
I just don't like time loop. I think it's so lame. I think it's
I
much cooler if you have just like all the robots in the galaxy are kind of getting the same call, like
I don't think it's
arriving at this base in the middle of nowhere on Meng,
what I think
getting
is,
shoved down the elevator shafts one after another until eventually one of them
yeah.
survives the fall because there's like 1,000 corpses under her.
I don't think it's an actual time loop, like a physical time loop. I think it's the Gestalt's brain, like as she's constantly obsessing over the fact that she's slowly dying and nobody's going to kill her off.
That's the other thing is the Gestalt. Does she die? Or I mean, the Penrose program suggests that your body was recovered. So I suppose eventually the government or whatever caught up with the ship, or the ship turned around and went back, or
I don't I was under the
it was
impression
recovered
that
from the Penrose program.
the they did not actually recover you, the Elster that was on that Penrose ship. I was under the impression that the events that led to the Elsters being sort of orphaned from their original personality script had happened earlier.
Something that says that there's an archive fire, or the
Yeah,
lost archive with the original pattern for the Elster unit,
right.
but so they had to rebuild them based on a pattern generated
Base.
from one recovered from the Penrose program. And since you're the only one in the game as mentioned from the Penrose program, it's probably you. So I think maybe your dame died, and you spent a while drifting through space, feeling bad about not, strangling when you should have, which is before her hair and teeth fell out from radiation. And she's also, bioresonant, so she might have affected you with her psychic waves on your robot brain.
Yeah.
So I think you're infected, but whatever happened with her dying already happened a long time ago. And
Yeah.
now it's your own guilt being reflected by the Falk unit, who is also powerfully bioresonant.
Right, and she's
And
picking
then
up
can be
on.
spread throughout the base.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that any of the base stuff actually is real.
I think Rotfront probably isn't real. I think Going Nowhere probably isn't real. But I think the start where you arrive at the base, I can imagine some sort of call from the cosmos, like, and all the else units going, oh, hey, I gotta go strangle my girlfriend. I had a promise.
Yeah, yeah.
Just the guilt radiates out via the Falk unit.
Maybe.
And the Falk unit was probably infected by you showing on the base, because there's talks about how the requested one, there wasn't one on the base, but one was requested.
Right.
Maybe one just showed up because you already fucked up the beginner. Who the hell knows? The game's a confusing mess. But it's still fun to think about.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the mark of a
Decent game.
Yeah, a decent game where you actually care enough to think about these sorts of things. It's like, yeah, even if it's messy and doesn't make sense or isn't satisfying to you in the end when you pick it all apart, like you had the desire to pick it apart to see if there was anything else going on underneath.
Yeah, I didn't feel shortchanged by it. I know some games I go for the same kind of vague plot, you kind of get kicked in the teeth at the end and say,
yeah,
fuck that. This game actually made me go back and think, I want to know what happened.
Yeah, well, and
some of it was really dumb, like the constant references to stuff like, oh, your arms get ripped off and pulling a hatch in a hatch. Where's that from?
Yeah, it's from Evil Dead.
Some Evil Dead.
One thing I liked, or one thing I noticed, was there are some references to things that are, I guess, a little more esoteric, like the number station stuff, which I think. I mean, I think
they're creepy, but they're played out.
I guess. What did you think of the reference to the
King in Yellow?
King in Yellow's whatever. I think the King in Yellow is less of a direct, because obviously, like, on the surface level, a lot of the people who play this and are dumb are going to go, oh, it's like Dead Space, like there's an evil, like, alien thing.
I did wonder if they dug down into the mines and found some sort of thing, but
no, I think that's a fake out. I think that's a smart move where they, like, lead you to believe that it's another Lovecraftian in space thing, and then
it's actually more of a personal story,
right? And
robots working on technology that's bizarre.
Yeah, and all the flesh, corruption stuff is, an obsession with, the decay of the human body.
But I like the idea that when you return to the base, it is the same base, just a while later, and you're another Elster unit kind of thing.
I felt
bioresonance can be transmitted through the ether. So who knows? Maybe all Elster units are connected through the Falk's crazy psychic waves.
It can, but
I found a book that talks about the Empire, how the Empire was formed by what was probably a bioresonant woman shaping reality through her, incredibly bioresonant consciousness.
And you know who that was?
Adolf Hitler. No, Albert Einstein.
Shodan.
Oh, it's a good choice, better than mine.
Yeah. Better than Hitler? What?
Well, Einstein, actually, I don't know why Adolf Hitler came out. He's just always on my mind.
Well, I mean, they were the same person. We just covered up the truth.
I did think everyone does when they play this game and think, is this some sort of Nazis won the war setting?
Yeah.
Japanese writing and Nazi writing. But then you realize it's Chinese letters, firstly, and also it's East Germany.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing with all the, revolution stuff, and but they're obviously, like, really like either Soviet style communist or kind of fascist.
It sounds like they're living in a pretty miserable situation and trying to get away from a pretty miserable empire, especially the part where the Empress could shape reality with her brain.
Yeah. Well, but also the Great Revolutionary seems like she might be either like a clone or basically the same thing as the Empress, or she might be a replicant of the Empress.
Oh, when I was watching the stream, someone suggested something I thought was a great idea. They should make the same setting, but have like a Dungeon Keeper style game where you just try to maintain a base and keep everyone from going insane.
Yeah.
It's got all the stuff like the fetish items and how to keep them happy.
Yeah.
You got to, and I thought it does actually sound like a good management game. just trying to keep everyone sane while some sort of crazy cosmic horror crap's going on. Well, all kinds of different cosmic horrors. It doesn't have to be the same one.
Yeah.
In fact, there's the dream diary where one of them describes what you're experiencing, and there's other dreams that describe other apocalyptic events on different planets. I thought that was kind of funny because it sounds like maybe there's a whole bunch of stuff going on at once.
Well, that was one of the things I really liked about Rockfront was the whole thing about the big red eye on the
Yeah,
planet that it's orbiting.
reminded people of being watched by. Yeah,
Yeah, and that it becomes more and more real to them, and it drives them more and more crazy.
it is good. It's a lot of backstory for what it is.
I
It's so
think
undercut by.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, the stream's restarting.
Oh,
Might be on my end. Let me refresh that. Internet's better than it was, by the way. Way better.
nice.
What was I saying again? I've forgotten what I was saying. I lost my train of thought. So about Rockfront.
Yeah,
It's probably my favorite part of the game. That.
you just said, it's good for what it is, or
Oh yeah, it's good for what it is. Oh yeah, it's just a lot of what it is undercut by all the references because it's like there's things I like and I think is that original to this or is that stolen from something else? Because like I say, I like the idea of the whole idea of like copying brains onto robots, and that was a good thing. Where the robots are made from like people's consciousnesses, and they put them in so many miserable situations that eventually the idiosyncrasies start to show up.
yeah.
That's like a horrible idea, to be honest. It's
Well,
pretty creepy.
Well,
Because then they generate a profile like, oh, just this person's fine being alone forever, but don't show them a spider.
the thing I liked about it was that they're not just like robots, and they're also just not like complete copies of people, but they're patterns of people, and
Imperfect copies, yeah.
and the whole thing is that they've been around long enough that basically they've done a million psyche vowels on this person that they're
That's
based
what I mean,
off
but the
of.
psyche valves would also be just put them in situations that are pretty grim, like remote installations.
Oh, like
lonely ships.
intentionally,
Not intentionally, I mean, just through their service life.
right?
So they'll find out, oh, this one went crazy, and in hindsight, it went crazy because they don't like being left alone. But the bare minimum to keep them happy is give them a stuffed animal, and they'll be fine.
Right.
Let these weirdos crawl into the floorboards and give them a plant to look after, and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
You can put them in like a labor death camp, and they'll feel bad about it, but they won't.
But
go
they have a
insane
ball
because-
pit.
Exactly, they got this, and it feels like a funny little analogy for some sort of welfare state kind of thing going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the bare minimum, keep them from losing it.
And I think to wrap this line of thinking up, in my opinion, the thing that made it so that I wasn't that bothered by all the references and all the things that were obviously taken from something else is that it really feels like in this game, as opposed to most games that have a lot of references or themes stolen from other things, it felt like the developers and the writers actually thought about all the things that they were referencing a lot before they started making this.
Yeah.
Like, at least they thought about it as much as I have. And maybe they didn't go the same maybe they didn't go the same places we would have gone with it, or done it as perfectly.
I'd have been
Two dudes.
Yeah.
Well, they would have had no problems on the ship.
Exactly. Would have been very efficient.
Yeah.
Bro, you need to strangle me. I'm dying of radiation. Sure, whatever, dude.
Bro, you need to strangle me while you... And then it just comes up with the, student film frame insert of, explicit scene removed. That was a little annoying.
I like that. I thought it was a good joke, just to undercut a pretty dramatic moment.
It was
supposed to be a joke, but it sure felt like one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say how much of this was, like, super serious.
Yeah. I don't think if these developers make another game, I'd be interested in it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean...
And I'd be surprised if it's not in the same setting, since they put so much work into establishing it.
I don't know. I almost wish that they'd, like, leave this as
I don't want
it
the same
is.
setting. It's quite self-contained, but... I'd be surprised if they don't.
Yeah, it'd be an obvious move. Aki says he downloaded a mod to have 8 inventory slots get fuck Chris turds, and 100% I'm with them. 8 inventory slots feels good to me. 8 inventory slots mean you could carry 2 guns. Not even all
We
the
think tank
ammo.
controls are direct.
Yeah.
We're going to start the more important argument. Tank controls are direct. That's supported by the game officially.
Yeah.
I'm a tank control guy.
Yeah. I played it with the controller or no, I played it with mouse and keyboard.
I play
So
with controller and tank. But I kept thinking direct actually might work better just because it reminded me of Metal Gear Solid. You know, top down and everything.
yeah. That's one thing. I wish there was a little bit more to the like room
Stealth.
layouts so that
Oh,
you could do stealth, like actual stealth
there was
instead of
a
just
couple of
juking
them,
past stuff.
like that shower with the shower room in like the second area. That
Yeah.
I thought like you need more stuff like that
Yeah.
because you kind of wait for that one to go back and forth, but sometimes you get caught. But also, it's like a juicy item guarded by a couple of pretty strong looking dudes.
Yeah. So you can
And
be
you
like,
can,
"Oh, gear up and come back and blast them."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a pretty good area.
Yeah.
Plus, as well, the idea that you can get rid of them permanently would be nice. Turns out it's not permanent, but
Yeah.
I don't think you get the flares till later in that area.
It doesn't matter either because you don't really have to revisit stuff that much.
No, the flares were vestigial. The
Yeah.
end of the game with loads of them. I used them on a couple of big enemies, or the ones with the shield, because the game made it sound like the ones with the shield could only be taken out with a revolver, but I think I was wrong.
No, they go down just fine to anything. In fact, they're the reason why I usually carry the flare gun around in the later game. Is you could just pop them once and run away and they die permanently.
I used that a couple of times, but yeah, I really should have used them more. The downside of the flare gun is that you have like 2 inventory slots taken up by it because you need to take more ammo.
Yeah, it
Otherwise,
does.
you fire it once and you got this thing. Meanwhile, the stun pods, you use them once and it takes down like 3 guys,
Yeah, but
and it clears the inventory for you.
but compared to like the pistol, like you have to have 2 stacks for the pistol anyway, or you're only killing
Pistol
1 or
is
2 things.
comparable to the revolver and the shotgun.
Yeah, but it held more rounds in
That's
the
what I mean.
mag. So.
It takes 2 shots if you let the square get small.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize the whole aiming damage increase thing until pretty late into my run.
I was familiar with the Resident Evil remakes, the later ones, like Resident Evil 2 remake. They love doing that.
Yeah.
I think it sucks, but
It's whatever. It's a mechanic. At least they
You
didn't put
should
in
use-
active reload. I think active reload would have been pretty annoying in this.
ooh. Yeah, I think opening the inventory and reloading is the active reload, and I'm happy enough with that.
Right. All right.
It's a shame you miss out on the animations, though. But yeah, other
Let's
games.
let's see. Where should this go? I really like this, but I don't think it's
What's this? What's
amazing.
at the top?
Magic of Grimrock mod for Legend of Grimrock 2.
Ooh, is it better than Bionic Commando Rearmed?
I say no. I think
I'd say no as well. I think that's an all-time classic.
see
I think I'll be thinking about that when I'm dying.
yeah, Bionic Commando Rearmed is kind of, perma-green.
It's not as good
for
playing it
everything.
again. I was more excited about it the first time I played it because it was like the real thrill of that game is learning the controls. It was like really quite fun. But
I think a replay through it with mastery of the controls is a lot more fun than a replay of Signalis to try and get a different ending.
I feel like I don't play Doom anymore because every time I try and play Doom, it's like, someone talks about a new WAD that came out, and then I realize that I don't know how to play it anymore. I kind of let myself lapse, so I'm not as good as Doom as I used to be.
You don't know how to
So
circle
I could-
strafe?
I could practice it and get better. Hey, Moldy made another WAD. It was really good. Moldy's WAD. You got to check out Moldy's WAD. What was it? God damn.
Going
What's the
down?
show? Stranded? No, the guy did Going Down, but he did a recent one which is just like 8 maps, and then 8 maps again, the same ones but tougher. I think it's a good way to do the difficulty. Let's see. PR Boom Plus. Oh my god. Got so many. 50 monsters, aliens, breach, crumpets. How the hell is it? Mine maps? Oh. Overboard. There it was. Overboard. That was pretty good.
Huh.
Yeah, it's got like a theme of like island hopping after your ship sinks.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I
It's only
haven't...
8 maps. Short. I'd recommend it.
Okay. I'll throw it on the heap. But yeah, I'd say Bionic Commando Rearmed, even though it's not amazing, like you said, like the gaining mastery is really great in Bionic Commando Rearmed.
Oh yeah, it's
But I think it's still a better replay than this would be.
Oh, I consider the idea of replaying this just to try a different ending with like a different control scheme using direct controls, just see what it's like. And I thought I can't be bothered. So when the
Yeah,
guy announced that he was gonna stream it, I thought, oh, that's good. I'll get to see the story stuff again without having to bother playing it.
yeah.
It's fine, but
I have
once you know his
seafood.
tricks, it's not quite an accent. Seafood. I mentioned
Seafood
seafood
5.
yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I had already ranked it when you mentioned it. I didn't think you would have played it.
I didn't. I saw that guy stream it. I'm so sorry,
Oh.
but no, I was very tempted to play it, but it's like I think it looks like a good game. I don't think the theme's that exciting. I
It's
think it's
a
kind of ugly.
it's a good beat 'em up. And if it was more
Streets
strictly
of Rage.
yeah, if it was more
Streets of Rage has a great theme.
if it was more strictly a beat 'em up and had like more effort put into like the music and the styling of it
Will
cuz
the
it
later stages get more interesting? Because what I saw was just the first stage and like the a ruined
yeah.
apartment tower kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, the
Thames.
later
It was like,
stages
oh, it's ugly and boring.
actually get kind of interesting. Like there's one the stage after that is like you're going through like some alleyways to like a fight club and
Oh yeah,
there's
what really put me off was I just want to mention this was I remember what I was thought, yeah, this looks alright, but then I saw something and you think, oh, I don't want to play this. Which was they're doing an old boy hallway fight, but like not good.
oh
It was
where the
like,
camera
oh
perspective is locked
yeah,
and
just
yeah, it's got
really.
a couple things like that which are obviously references.
I mean, fair enough, but
It
it just
remi-
was
it,
gross.
it reminded me more of like in Near where you'll get like locked camera perspectives
Oh yeah, the 2D
occasionally.
segments. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, where like it makes the controls a little clumsier and it's not really
I,
necessary, but it's just sort of like a way to make a certain hallway not just a hallway.
yeah, I mean, I like that in here. I like the way it changes gameplay genres occasionally. Like, you get the shmup bits, then you get like the character action bits, then you get like the hacking bits. What do you
Yeah.
call that? Top down toucher.
Yeah, top down toucher, exactly.
But
I think this is more
sorry,
interesting
Nier
than
Automata, of
Sifu.
course. I never played Nier One. I
Well,
think it's better.
yeah.
I, I think Sifu is a game that doesn't really look like I want to play it. I think I might play it if I'm like thinking I want to play a game for the gameplay, but it's got like no cyborgs. It's got no like cool guns.
Right. And the story is kind of bland,
Yeah,
honestly.
and it's ugly. It really looks like that was my joke. You know how they're doing like the new Clone Wars and the new Ninja Turtles, and they got like that
Yeah.
chiseled CG look. That's really hideous. Kind of like the Jackie Chan Adventures version of that.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty much. I
Really
mean,
unpleasant looking.
I think it works in context of it being a beat 'em up because it makes the impact with like no blood, which by the way, a lot of people complain that Seafood doesn't have like a lot of blood and stuff, but
It's got a little bit of blood.
I thought that
You got like a few droplets, right?
yeah, but it's I think it's more about like kung fu movie type violence where
Yeah.
it's not slapstick. I don't know quite how to put it, but
I was
it's
watching.
it's like impact violence as opposed to gory violence. Like
Yeah,
it's like you hit somebody so
Kung Fu
hard they
films.
fly into a wall and dent it.
I know kung fu films have some pretty hideous gore, but it tends to reserve for little moments for impacts.
Well,
Like
it's more for
Diaphragm
story
Bullfighter is
stuff. It's more
definitely
for
a film that stands out.
it's usually more for story stuff, like somebody gets like brutally murdered or executed or something, and that's like to
Yeah,
push the plot forward, as opposed to like a more standard American action movie where like the gore is part of the action.
it's definitely part of the action. I mean, have you ever seen Eight Diaphragm Bullfighter? That's got some pretty bonkers scenes. There's one about the guys like palm slamming like a truck of bamboo poles to
Oh,
launch them like rockets. There's a
yeah.
hit people like has a special effect where the bamboo splits and all the strands come out the guys' backs. It's horrible.
So it's like a
It's
hollow point bamboo
yeah,
spear.
it looks just absolutely rancid kind of thing. So it's gotten even more insane scenes than that towards the end, but I say I wouldn't spoil it.
Okay.
But most kung fu films I find tend to be like light-hearted until all of a sudden there's like the very final action scene that get really quite intensely horrible
Yeah.
and shockingly so sometimes.
Yeah. Sifu's
And
got a
even
little.
like Kung Pao made fun of it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that was like the main joke of Kung Pao, besides the voices.
It was not a good film, but it was a great film.
Oh, it's an all-time classic, I think.
It's an all-time classic, but it's terrible. It's like
It's terrible, but
you
it's
remember the funny
intentionally
bits, and then you watch it and you forget things like the CG cow and the Matrix references. It's like
it's
it wasn't funny
terrible.
at the time.
It's terrible and it's intentionally terrible, but it's not intentionally terrible that gets on your nerves.
It's trying its hardest to entertain you, and that's charming
Yeah.
just by itself.
Yeah, and I will forgive it everything, all the CG cows and Matrix references for the baby rolling down the hill at the beginning, because that's no shit one of the funniest things that has ever been
It's so
filmed.
cute. Bye bye. Oh, it is really good.
Super good. All right, what about Buck Rogers' Countdown to Doomsday?
I think Buck Rogers.
Or
was in
actually,
yesterday
no,
and, like,
I'm
no
gonna put it
seal.
I'm gonna put it above Sifu, so that doesn't even matter really.
Oh, Signalis. Yeah, yeah. Sifu looks okay, but it looks very. It looks like a very standard and competent okay game.
Yeah, yeah. Which this is a lot more interesting, even if
It's got a good vibe.
yeah, even if it fails at certain things, because Sifu has some problems too, which I won't get into. But
I might play it someday.
yeah,
Oh, until you done it. Yeah.
Hammer Fight is the pivot point now.
Yeah, I remember. What's his face? I never played that. See, Spambot used to always vouch for that and say it was the best game ever, but
It's not.
he vouched for some really bad games, so
It's
I never played it.
it's not the best game ever. It's one of those
I
games.
can
that-
imagine it being fun if, like, it's about momentuming your hammer, and I can see the appeal of that. But I think the better game for that was Garden Gnome Carnage, whatever it's called.
I never played that one.
It was just a crap little flash game. Christmas themed, actually. You should play it for Christmas.
Yeah,
I thought it was surprisingly fun. I got really into it.
yeah,
You're trundling a building left and right, and there's a garden gnome stuck on a bungee cord, and it's very zany. You try to keep elves from reaching your chimney,
yeah,
and the building's on wheels. But aside from all the zaniness, it's actually quite good just because it's quite fun. Learn to like
manipulate the
this bungee
momentum.
cord. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the main
It's quite
thing
intense.
with Hammer Fight is, you learning to control the hammers and the swords and all of that stuff. And there's a lot of problems with it mechanically and balance wise, but nothing except for the garden gnome game you're talking about. Nothing has really done
Try to
that.
do the same thing.
Well,
It's weird because it was fun in that, and I can imagine it being fun in Hammer Fight.
well,
Well,
and I think
It's hard to sell, isn't it?
I feel like there were a couple like little flash games that tried that back when like mouse movement was more of a
Guarantee.
well, not just that, but also like in the
Really
era
control
of
flash game.
flash games, in the golden era of flash games, people were playing it on a computer, right? You weren't necessarily going to consoles and playing flash games. You weren't.
No, you're lying back in your chair, like with bad posture, and the mouse right at
Or-
the end of the
or-
table kind of thing.
Or you were
Sitting
in,
up to use
in the
keyboard
computer
was too
lab.
much. That's what I mean, but using a keyboard sometimes it's like you got to sit up and reach forward for it.
Yeah,
So flash games rely on the fact that they're the easiest thing to play in the world.
yeah,
And even just the effort of you got to sit to play this, it might be like try a different game.
yeah.
So you just click on for a few times just to see how it works, probe around, and then get into it. That's a selling point for flash games.
Yeah. Well, and I think Hammer Fight, compared to Signalis, it's got an interesting setting and story, but it doesn't get that into
story?
it. Yeah, there's story to Hammer Fight. The story to Hammer Fight is basically like the Avatar anime, where you guys are like living on the cliffs, and then Fire Nation shows up and conquers you. And you end up as like a gladiator, doing gladiatorial bouts in the empire that conquered you, and then you get bought by some noble.
Surprisingly grim.
Yeah, it gets kind of dark. Like I think most of your
Expecting it.
nation gets wiped out, and I think the implication is that the planet's kind of doomed. like human civilization's kind of doomed to die to an ever expanding onslaught of the creatures.
Good.
Good.
I'm happy.
So I'm gonna put Signalis right under Bionic Commando Rearmed. Oh no, I put Frog Gun there.
Ooh.
Ooh.
God.
I do think Signalis is worth the playthrough. It's
I'd
definitely
say-
intended to be replayed because of the ending stuff, but the requirements for the ending are too vague. Like, people have data mined
Oh
it.
god, ARG shit. You got like
Yeah,
analyze waveforms and look at this spectroscopes to see like QR codes and stuff. I'm not bothering that. I hate that crap.
yeah,
And
yeah.
apparently, I already had it spoiled when I was looking up the requirements for the other endings. It's like the dance in a field in front of a gravestone or something like that, like the ghosts. So that's stupid.
No, the I think it's called the ritual ending or the artifact ending. It's I don't think it's supposed to be like an actual canon ending. It's
Yeah, it's like the Silent Hill 2 endings, like the one where you do a ritual to get your wife back.
yeah, it's something like that. It's a secret ending that's
Which is a really dumb secret ending. It completely ruins the theme of Silent Hill 2.
I know. It's okay. It's okay, Sheslop. They can't make any more Silent Hills and hurt you anymore.
I wish they did make a Silent Hills. I was looking forward to that one.
That series is dead and
It
gone.
is. So we got Death Stranding 2. Ugh.
Oh, speaking of, did you want to do Death Stranding Director's Cut?
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
Hang
Play that
on.
again. Oh, you did play that again this year, didn't you?
I'm gonna run piss. I'll be right back.
That's reasonable. Now it's my stream. Oh man, I can't hold commentary on myself. I realize that streaming is a very complicated job, and only experts can do it. So, about that weather. Crazy stuff. It's been cold lately, hasn't it? Job and I give it respect for.
Oh, thank you.
Give it credit for.
Thank you.
Still got no respect for it. But,
Well, I mean, you shouldn't, but hey, I'll
Well,
take what
seriously,
I...
good streamers is something else. Like you see guys like German that can just make stuff happen. It's like, that guy's insane.
I feel like
Also
most...
sucks, but
I feel like most great streamers are just...
really dumb.
Yeah.
You just don't care. Like Darkside Phil, he's been streaming for years and he just never cared.
DSP is probably the greatest streamer who has ever been born. And
When he says he was the original streamer, I believe him.
he's the original streamer in a way that Slow Beef was never the original Let's
Good
Player.
clip to open on, by the way.
Yeah. So
Best
let's
scene in the game.
let's skip the whole thing about streaming. Let's get into Death Stranding, because I talked a lot about Death Stranding last year when I played it, or maybe it was the year before. I don't remember.
I was really into it. I don't think I've enjoyed the game quite as much, despite the fact that it was really boring and I thought it was terrible the whole way. And it could
No.
be so much more.
Here's the thing. Death Stranding is really enthralling because it is so mindlessly bad and boring and
It's insane. I've never played a game that's quite so bold in direction in a long while, and that's why Kojima remains the best.
well, here's the thing. What Kojima is really great at. People talk about Kojima's writing. Kojima's not a good writer. He's a very
Auteur.
he's a
He's
very
good at.
what's that?
He's an auteur. He's very good at getting weird, dumb ideas made because people believe in him when they really shouldn't.
Yeah, he's not a good writer. He's very good at conveying a vision. And the best times of that are when his vision has to do with the intersection of gameplay and story. So, like in Metal Gear Solid games, you know, all of the stealth, all of the like items and mechanics in that fit into the character of Snake and the story and the setting of the things happening around him. And it all works, and it becomes like one of the, you know, most memorable and classic series of all time. This has a problem where because the writing does not work. the
I
right,
think the writing's bad. I think it has a lot of ideas it probes at and then doesn't do anything with. That would be much more interesting the way it went.
yeah.
Extinction Entity stuff is absolutely dreadful. I like the Cliff stuff. Well, that's pretty good. But
Here's the
the other
problem with
problem
it.
is Norman
Here's the
Reedus. I
yeah.
like him. I think he's really funny. He's a protagonist, but I still would have preferred like an actual character. You know what I mean?
Well, one of my
Someone with a voice acting budget, where they could have just paid a guy to read loads of lines.
one of my biggest problems with Norman Reedus in it is that he is almost perfect for the role, but
But they couldn't afford him.
well, there's that, but also the fact that they didn't have the balls to just full on make him autistic. Because he is autistic in
Yeah.
this game. But
Go on, say the line. Say the line.
yeah, but they force him to like ask questions that clearly neither the character nor the actor care about the answer to. Like that. That is a very Norman Reedus move there.
I do like how he seems like he's in his own little world. And to be fair, it is part of the plot that he's like some weirdo who just wants to go out into the middle of nowhere and walk around, just get away from all these freaks.
Yeah.
Hates having handshakes.
And like I was going to say, the big problem with the way this story goes is simply that Kojima is Japanese, and the Japanese have a real problem with the way they write, like storylines and
Americans.
arcs.
Oh,
It's not to do with America. It's to do with the way they do storylines and arcs, where it has to be resolved. There has to be a big confrontation and conclusion. It's the anime problem. Every anime, and no
That's
matter
one
how
of
it
the things I've
starts,
thought
ends
about.
the same way. It ends like this. It ends with
There's a
everyone
cop-
coming together and they overcome some big evil
Yeah.
thing that explains the whole thing to them, that explains their intention and what they're trying to get done, and the good guys come together in the end and they solve it.
yeah. I was thinking about what's it called? That crap game. Shinji Mikami was really disappointing. Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh god,
That,
yeah.
that game. That game. Shinji Mikami. He doesn't deserve any credit he gets. Like most of these people don't. But oh, there he is pissing. But no, it's just, I mean, the game's pleasant with remarking about, but I just thought about the end where it's all of a sudden at the very last minute the villain suddenly says, "Oh no, I don't want to die," kind of thing. It's like, what? So that's when I explain that, oh, that's just the Japanese thing. That's how you show that a villain was actually had a very poor character because in his final moments he didn't want to nobly die. That's stupid.
Yeah.
It's all just little tropes and quirks that they see as completely ordinary, but no damn sense.
Yeah.
Undermines it all.
Yeah. But
Hartman was a really dumb character.
oh god, I hated Hartman. I constantly think of that one post. I can't remember who it was that made it. That was
Oh god, he's yeah, I know what post you mean. It was a good one.
horror mounts as I realized that no, it was not actually difficult for Kojima to write a character that can only talk for 22 minutes. That moment when I first played this, I was like, yo, here we go. And Sam's gonna leave. And no, he just sticks around and you walk around and look at art pieces while you wait for him to come back.
It was a good moment to be fair. It's memorable. It's one of the highlights. Not really. The highlight was every time you go through a new area. That was really the thing that kept you going through the game, was just the excitement of going to a new area, untouched.
Mhm.
That's one of the things I really want to talk about the game. It was, people say it was a hiking simulator, and I always thought, it's funny. Just, walking simulators, and I wasn't prepared for just what they meant by a hiking simulator, which was that you
Literally.
go through an area of unbespoiled wilderness. It's beautiful, but then you sort of come back to it later, and now it's covered in like trash. People being pissing everywhere.
People
there's,
leaving
cars
graffiti.
parked, graffiti, bad music playing.
And
it's
and people putting stuff up specifically for social media likes.
Yeah, there's tourist conveniences like bridges put into place.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like just the whole. It really captured a vibe that I never would imagine a game would have. I mean, I never would imagine it was a vibe worth capturing, but Hideo Kojima does it again.
Yeah, because the whole story of the game really is that
Sam's trying to keep ahead of that crap.
no, that Sam gets roped into being part of the problem. He becomes the reason why the wilderness stops being the wilderness.
Yeah.
And why the America that makes him feel whatever, makes him feel safe, or lets him get away from his past,
Basically,
gets
motorbike
eroded.
and go cruising kind of thing. Yeah.
It gets eroded away, and it's mostly through his own actions, but he doesn't feel like he has any control over that.
No. There's that scene again. That is the best.
And he even
more of that.
he even has that character, which is the friend that is kind of pushy and like gets into your personal space, but you don't have the heart to get rid of him and to flip out and tell him to get lost. Like, do you like Sam says, can you shut the fuck up, Dead Man? Like a couple times, but he never like kicks Dead Man out of his room.
Like a grown-up teenager.
Yeah, I mean, could you kick a Dead Man out of your shower?
It's pretty heavy.
I contend you could not.
I don't think I would, no.
This cutscene with what's his name, the bad guy, Higgs.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite cutscenes because it's one of the moments that I think like they should have played on more. They should have played on that more because it's super obvious that Sam is like, oh, that was Higgs.
It annoyed me because I fell for it. I can't remember what I did. I'm trying to remember that bit actually. I was annoyed about it because it's the obvious thing, which is you want to chuck the bomb away, but it said not to. So I placed it down and walked away from it. Started like beeping, like, "Oh, you don't want to do that." So I spent a while pacing around, thinking, obviously you don't want to put it in. What do you do? So I thought, well, the objective said to take it into the thing, but the whole game, it's like, it never gave you much.
Everyone's lying to you.
To think. Everyone's lying to you, so you kind of did it anyways because you thought, oh, whatever, I gotta do this to see a cutscene where he does it. And then, of course, it gives you a game over. It's quite underwhelming. It's not even like a cool nuclear explosion, just the screen goes white. But then, of course, I restart the mission, go straight to the lake, chuck it in. It's like, that's what I should have done the whole time. It's really obvious, but I mean, the whole point is it's not supposed to be obvious, but even though I was critical about it, it still didn't seem obvious because I just wasn't expecting the game to, be that interesting.
Yeah.
Which is part of the problem.
Yeah, I love this cutscene too, where Hartman's like, "Do you read, Sam?" And Sam just doesn't respond to him. Again, he doesn't want to interact with any of these people, but he's forced to by the.
He's a good allegory for the player.
Yeah.
Man, these cutscenes were terrible.
I hate this conversation.
I couldn't imagine it without them.
Yeah.
It's definitely part of the experience.
Yeah, I guess.
It sell well. I assume it must have sold well after making a sequel.
Yeah, it sold pretty well, I think.
Just, man, it seems like such a hard sale. Like you gotta know who Hideo Kojima is to give a damn. Does anyone even know who Hideo Kojima is these days?
Everyone.
Come on, I'm talking about like people that play Roblox.
Well, no, obviously they're not playing it, but...
So it's a game made for our generation, more or less, right? People that remember, oh, Metal Gear Solid was pretty good.
Yeah.
Invest in gamer culture.
Yeah. The way the characters talk about America is just so insane. Well, they're not actually talking about America, Brennan. They're talking about America.
America, the concept, rather than America, the place.
Well, and not just that, but also America, the character. Because America is a character in this game. And
Sam America.
Yep. Sam, Bridges, Strand, America, Big Daddy.
I think the way the plots could have gone is definitely something to get into. But first, we need to address Brennan's excellent point, which is that he watched a friend play it, so he only remembers the plot beats, in which point it must seem like the dumbest game in the world. But as an actual game, it's actually really quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, walking around, this is what that's guy called Matthew Matosis said. And I watched this video straight after I played this game. Straight away, the first thing I did as soon as the end credits rolled, I ran to his video to watch what he had to say about it. And basically, he said a whole load of crap about obvious things about why the game's bad. But the one thing he said that I thought was interesting was that it makes terrain interesting. Just the act of walking in this game is interesting.
Yeah.
pull on the analog triggers on your controller. I'm so glad I set that up, by the way, the force feedback. It barely mattered, but it was pretty good.
It barely matters, but it matters enough to be crucial.
Yeah, exactly. It's a neat feature. But just like making you question the terrain you're going over and thinking like, oh, I don't want to go this way. There's too many pebbles. I might trip over and break my cargo.
Even more
really
so
interesting.
than that, you literally have to plan out a route, which
Yeah.
I think kind of goes over a lot of people's heads, even who play this and enjoy it, because they just kind of brute force through like as
That's
straight
where
a
I thought was
line.
interesting. Exactly. There's points where I actually went back on myself. I thought this route isn't working. I'm going to go back and try again. And that is the only other game that I think ever did that was the Saboteur. Remember the Saboteur? I talk about that game all the time because I thought it was great.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't that good, but it had a couple of things going on, which is basically I'd never played platform games at the time, like the Tomb Raider, one of the later Tomb Raiders before they rebooted it, and like Uncharted. It was like you walk up to a brick that's sticking out, and you press X to grab onto the brick, and then you push upwards to climb up the bricks that are sticking on the wall. Then you reach a ledge, so you push right and you follow the ledge. You don't need to look ahead; you just press the buttons as they come.
Yeah.
It's like quick
There's
time kind of game.
the issue
Walk
with
and twist
all
the pose.
that. The issue with all that, I think, is that there's no false starts. There's no dead ends.
That's the thing. Saboteur had false starts, so you actually at the base of a tower, you'd walk around a few times thinking which is the best way to get up this,
Yeah.
and then you'd do it. And it was a small thing, but it felt huge at the time.
Yeah.
I probably still feel huge now. The Saboteur's pretty good. It had problems, but it's one of the best open world games.
I think you're right that Death Stranding really pulls that off in a way where it doesn't feel forced, because like I said, a lot of people can just brute force through these areas.
Oh, sure, you want to trip over and break all your cargo repeatedly, you can just probably walk over every hill, but
Yeah.
the point is tripping is a threat in this game. Also, just being fast is a threat. If you want to go fast, sometimes you want to sprint up a hill kind of thing,
Yeah.
And then at that point, you're struggling with being unstable. But one thing that sucked in this game is driving, and as the game goes on, you need to drive more, and the controls for the bike just weren't good.
Yeah.
The physics.
It,
Like you do wheelies to get over rocks occasionally, but it was just like it didn't feel good at all, especially compared to the walking, which is like really well fleshed out.
it's a combination of
exercises.
it's a combination of too stiff but also somehow too arcadey, where some of
Yeah.
the stuff that you can do just doesn't make any sense and wouldn't be physically possible, but at the same time you're constantly getting stuck on rocks and shit.
I was gonna say you do that bit where you're getting stuck in a rock and you're wiggling around to try and get out, and all of a sudden you just kind of launch forwards like full speed, just right
Yeah.
off the bat,
Yeah, and
and then go clunk.
it feels like Norman Reedus should have clued them in on how like off-roading in a bike
Guy
would really
loves
be.
motorbikes, I know.
Yeah,
I mean, doing wheelies to get over stuff, that's pretty cool. That's advanced.
yeah, but
I thought that about when I got into cycling. I got into cycling. Did you know that? I spent all summer cycling around. But the mountain bike guys, when you watch the videos, I don't know how the hell they do it, but that'd make a great game.
what like
It's
like trials?
Nah, not like that. It's like just going up rocks. They call it technical descents and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the act of like keeping your wheels on the right line, as they call it.
Yeah,
Means you go down a bunch of rocks without like skidding and falling over.
yeah. To
I
keep
think I'd be
keep
game
your
that does that.
balance and yeah, that's one thing I'd say is a big disappointment with Death Stranding in general, is that all of the mechanics are cool, but they should have been more crucial.
That's the downplay them because I had no confidence in them. But what they have there is still really good and better than anything else most things I've played this year.
Yeah, so
I like Signalis more on this. No, I think I like Death Stranding more.
the thing that I am
Like
really
Psycho last the most though.
the thing that I was really disappointed with in this isn't the story. It's the fact that you don't really have to deal with a lot of the mechanics that are put in to limit you in this. So like the one that I always point
The
out
upgrades
is
about getting around them, yeah.
yeah, the one that I always point out as summing this up really well is the boots. You have boots and they have durability, and
Oh yeah, it's just straight upgrades.
good boots help you stay stable when you're going on like unstable terrain and all of this, and you can go faster if you have boots with good tread, but the big problem is they're just straight upgrades, and B, no path is ever long enough that you actually are going to walk through your boots.
Yeah.
And there's all these mechanics of like you can carry boots in a box, you can carry spare boots on your boot clip on your hip, and you can find the plants that you can make little sandals out of.
Oh yeah, sandals. I suppose you go for sneaking, but when do you ever sneak in this game?
Yeah, and the whole thing just boils down to you never need to do that because your boots will last you until you can go 3D print another pair of, top tier boots. So it's like why is all of that in the game? Like you would have to go out of your way to not wear boots in order to feel like you have to interact with any of that.
Anyways, Brennan raises yet another excellent point, which is the mystical existence that transcends reality. That of America. I think that's the most interesting part of this game that wasn't expanded on, was when they imply that that could be where the plot's going.
Yeah.
It was a sort of collective afterlife where the remembering the America they all know and love.
Right. I think I talked to you about that back when you were originally playing this.
And I thought that was a really good take. And I thought about it and I thought that's actually probably the best way they could have taken the plot. Instead of the fucking extinction entity.
Well, and like I said last night, I think that was supposed to be the plot until Kojima had another flash of inspiration and rewrote the ending again.
And they needed a bad guy.
Yeah, and needed a bad guy, and needed an anime ending, and needed everyone to come together in the end to solve the problem.
That was sort of already had Higgs, but
yeah, but
although Higgs was kind of lame. I think Higgs had a lot of potential. Like I said, I've seen where he sneaks a nuclear bomb into you. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, but that was also kind of a knockoff of Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 1.
Oh yeah, he puts a bomb in you. Yeah, I remember that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But I don't think he did the this cutscene where he's like extra villainous, and you know fine well who that is. It's like, come on.
Well, see that
it gave him a bit of character that is, much needed, because the game didn't have that much character going on, except for of course Deadman.
Yeah.
And Lou.
Deadman, Lou, and Cliff.
Sam himself.
Cliff.
I think Cliff needed more.
Cliff needed more, but he was great in all the stuff that he was in, and I think he should have been more central to the story, and I think he originally was, because the ending, the pacing of the ending is so bizarre, where you fight Sahelanthropus, and then you fight Liquid Ocelot, and then you fight Cliff Unger in Vietnam. And then you fight a mini boss rush that ends with the final boss, which is a whale, which is a reference to.
Oh god, yeah, that boss sucked.
Well,
the new rocket launcher. It's like you don't introduce new guns in a boss fight.
You absolutely do in this game because they do that constantly.
Yeah.
But
no, it sucks.
You know what that's a reference to, I'm assuming.
The fire whale?
Yes, but the reason the fire whale is in Metal Gear Solid 5 is it's a Moby Dick reference.
Oh god.
Because all of Metal Gear Solid 5 all of Metal Gear Solid 5 is Moby Dick references. Because it makes sense in the context of that.
Cultured.
Yeah,
it's very cultured.
Well, and more importantly, it's very Americana. But
every Kojima game is.
Yeah.
One of the enders.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know why the whale would be in here, but it's obviously a reference to that. And I don't know why it's the end boss, but yeah. I think Cliff was originally supposed to be the real focal point of this, because there's the whole mirroring thing of you and Lou and him and BB. And that's like...
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's like dragged across your face over and over like a pair of nuts.
Oh, every time you leave the damn base, every other time they run out of cutscenes to show you, so start showing new ones. They show the old ones.
Yeah. That was really
I was
funny.
really
My
not gonna
fir-
start doing that.
my first playthrough when I'm like, is this a replay or is this, is
It
it?
doesn't tell
Are
you that. No, it's not like press X to skip because you've seen this one already.
it's like, are these cutscenes in syndication now or?
Ugh.
Yeah. So
Game
anyway,
problems.
we're not ranking Death Stranding, by the way, because I already played Death Stranding 2 years
it's
ago.
unfair. And it'd be too high, and it'd conflict with like
We-
stuff that's more deserving, like
We are
Rogers.
we are ranking Death Stranding Director's Cut, which I reviewed entirely
Oh,
as a series of screenshots, which were all of the. I think I sent you some of them. The in-game photo mode shots
Oh,
that
yeah.
I took of that were all YouTube thumbnail faces.
The only ones I took were trying to make it look like Command and Conquer Tiberian Sun, because there's that one area in the desert which really does look like Tiberian Sun. If you get the right camera on your vehicle and put a GDI logo on it,
Yeah.
it would look like exactly what I want a Tiberian Sun game to look like. Like a modern one.
So Mario asked how significant was the director's cut stuff they added.
Oh, there's one not what they added, it's what they got rid of. Tell them what they got rid of. We'll never forgive them for.
What did they get rid of?
Monster Energy?
Oh yeah, well that was part of the port to PC, I believe.
I'm fine with that. If I would have been kind of pissed off, I spent like however much I spent on this game, and then they advertised to us. It's the Japanese accepted, I guess, but that sure as hell don't.
It's bizarre. I don't really understand it. Like, I guess they got some money for it, and they needed that money, presumably, to finish the game.
I mean,
but-
the Koshima's been doing it with Doritos and stuff, and everyone acts like, oh, it's really funny when you get advertised to. And it's like, no,
No,
paying
it's
money to then get adverts, it pisses me off.
it's not.
It takes me out of it.
You could have done something really interesting with that whole thing where, like, along with the gentrification of the, the wilderness, the rural
Start getting
America.
billboards show up or something.
Yeah, you start also, like,
Empty
contaminating.
Coke cans.
Yeah, you start contaminating the outer world with commercialism directly. I don't know if that would have been great, or if it would have been similarly too on the nose, like the
think-
social
I was
media
going to
stuff.
say, too on the nose. I think the way it is right now, it feels like it's quite subtle that it creates that vibe.
Yeah,
I didn't notice it at first. Obviously, it was when I went to like one of the hot springs. I went back and it's like I was going to play with Lou, I was going to float her across the pond, and all of a sudden, there's like several vans parked there. There was a thing playing music. There was trash everywhere. People
yeah,
carve the names into the rocks and stuff, and it's like that is just absolutely beautiful how they created this perfect vibe.
yeah, and I guarantee most people. I guarantee most people, even people who played this and liked it, it went over their heads like a lot of the things we've mentioned. Because, like, the only complaint related to that, or the only thing that I've seen of people even noting that, is people talking about how when you walk a path, eventually, it'll turn into like a dirt path.
Dirt. That was a neat feature that I liked it. It didn't work that well, but it was still cute.
It was interesting, and there were people who were like, hey, is there any way to not have this happen? Because I don't like
Mod it out.
I don't like the fact that these paths are getting all muddy and too well traveled. And it's like, well, that's the point. Like once you've gone there, everyone else is going there and taking the same screenshots and sharing them online and putting up their own social media posts and getting likes. And
I do like the money being likes.
yeah, well, the thing that I liked about it is that there's no point to it.
That's right. I said money. I was saying, is actually anything you purchase? No, it's all resources you purchase of. But the likes are just there. I
They're
suppose
likes.
upgrades, right?
They're just likes.
The likes.
Yeah, and you enhance your ability to get more likes for the things that you do.
I do like the little details, like when you cut a BT loose. BT. What's it called? Yeah, it's BT loose. It gives you a like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cute because you think about like, why did it give me a like? You think, oh, I see, I cut it loose. It's moving on to the afterlife.
Yeah.
It's worth a like.
They're not happy here. So let's get back to the director's cut stuff. So there's a lot of mechanics or not mechanics, but like new equipment and stuff like that that gets added. There's all this cyberpunk crossover stuff, which
Oh god, I hate that.
is mechanically relevant, and by mechanically relevant, I mean it lets you shortcut a lot of the stealth and combat stuff. I don't know if you even bothered to do them.
I was thinking about like the shower scene thing, how you got the pee poo and sweat grenades,
Yeah.
which is I never used. Apparently they might be good, but I never figured out how they work. And of course, BTs are so dangerous. Once you figure out a way to deal with them, it's like that works for me. I'm sticking to it.
Well,
So,
and
otherwise,
I think the game made a huge mistake by giving you the ability to cut umbilical cords way too early.
I think just shooting them in general and hitting them with the grenades. And also, I didn't like the VR. I think that was an addition in Director's Cut, the VR missions.
Yeah, the VR missions were.
That was a bad idea, because I tried a couple of them. It's like, VR missions are cute and all, but like, it should be scary when you see a BT the first time. You got a grenade and you tell you, oh, they just should do something. And then you're like, what does it do? I'm going to fucking die if I mess this up.
Yeah.
But instead, you get in the VR missions and you nuke like 10 of them in a row, and you realize, oh, actually, they're not now. The scariest part of the game is a complete pushover.
Well, and the bigger issue, I think, is that Sam would not be doing that. Like, he would want to be out doing that stuff.
That baby. I love that baby. I honestly think the game did an absolutely amazing job in making that little thing just.
It's a mascot.
Baby.
Yeah, it's a mascot character, and it's overtly cute, and it works. It's not annoying.
It works so damn well.
Because it's
Like,
it's clearly more than just a baby. Also, like there's more going on with it.
I know your
Than,
theory. This I like that theory.
yeah.
Tell the audience your theory.
Yeah. The babies.
You're not gonna say
What?
the whole thing with the babies Kojima.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's Kojima's self-insert because he really wants to be carried around in a papoose by Norman Reedus as he rides on motorcycles and pees off of cliffs.
Yeah, that was a joke when I was playing it. I think the one I was going through my head was the Achewood comic with the motorcycle over a cliff, over a mountain.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's themed after the game.
Right. It looks
The game
like
is clever.
the game is very clever. It's not as clever as it should be. I think
It's not as
Kojima.
clever as it thinks it is.
Well, I mean, Kojima just needs editing. That's the main thing. And there's the whole argument that people make about like, oh, it was really this guy who is the writer that made Metal Gear Solid 1 great.
I
And
kind of sucked too for giving him Spotlight. It was just a coincidence that the whole team managed to work together and made a good game at the time.
yeah.
You never credit one person because it never works out.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I genuinely think Kojima's like a great, maybe not a genius, but he's a great creative.
I think he's a genius at self-promotion and also not being completely rubbish. Like, there's loads of self-promoters out there, like,
Cliffy
what was
B.
the Bioshock guy? Cliffy B is a great one. For being a self-promoter, you got oh, hello there, I'm Ken Levine, who was a great self-promoter. You got Tim Schafer.
Yeah.
All these frauds that should never have gotten the recognition and the resources they ever got.
Yeah.
But Kojima does the same thing. Oh, Monilou is a good one.
Molyneux's probably the best.
He is the best.
And by that I mean because he is literally the worst.
He is the worst. David Cage of Omicron and Nomad Soul is magnum opus.
Yeah.
Actually kind of like that game.
Well, that was
disappointing, but
here's the
we didn't
thing.
have to be interested the whole way through.
That's a good game because it's somebody who hasn't made it yet, giving it their all and making a huge mess of a game.
A huge pitch of the game, which really appealed to David Bowie.
Yeah, and that's great. But everything after that is so bad because then he's in his own head that he's succeeded.
Also, just more normal. You know what I mean? Omicron is an absolutely bonkers like setting, and I'd like another game in that setting.
And he constantly tries to make things crazy, but he doesn't have he
The
doesn't have.
Ocon was like Quantic Dream's first game, I think.
Yeah.
And it's such a classic David Cage game because the start of the game is really good when you're in that police station. You got like several ways to get rid of the cop and like get into like the vault.
Mm-hmm.
It's like really interesting. It's like, oh, you think, oh, this is going to be a really good game, and then it all falls apart and becomes
Yeah.
quite linear and crap. Then the ending's rushed and there's clearly things cut out, and it's very reminiscent of Fahrenheit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, it's a game. Fahrenheit's a game that sucks. It's only got a reputation because people played the start and the demo and thought, oh, that seems like a good game.
Well, and then it developed the counterpoint reputation when people saw like let's plays of it and the longer videos of people dissecting it.
People are making also the games he made after it. I mean, what did he make after it? He made Heavy Rain, which was critically acclaimed.
Heavy Rain, Detroit.
But Detroit, actually, I kind of like Detroit.
I never played it.
It's like there's three characters. One of them's really rubbish. The other one's pretty rubbish, but has a funny ending if you go a certain route. But the third one is actually quite good. It's like the actors that play look like they're just goofing off on the green screen, and it works. It's like the usual kind of thing. You got a crotchety little cop, and you got like an android assistant, and he plays the android, of course.
Yeah.
And it works quite well, the two of them. But I would not recommend playing that game.
Right.
But the other one was the one with it had Willem Dafoe. It's got that famous picture where they both look miserable to be there. What's it called again?
I don't
Something
remember.
Two Souls?
Beyond Two Souls?
Beyond Two Souls. Actually, I haven't seen that game. I never played it.
I don't think anyone played it. I've never heard about it. After
people hate it so much that that made people go back and realize that his previous stuff sucked. I mean, on the mainstream level, we as geniuses all knew.
Yeah. Oh, you've cut out.
Oh God, have I?
Oh no, you're back.
Where the stream's like constantly restarting. Maybe we should just not watch the stream. It's not like anything's happening on it. It's just saying clips over and over. But video games, I'm not gonna watch the stream like that.
Well, here's the thing: we've got to get to Death Stranding director's cut specifically, and honestly, nothing that they added in the director's cut really made it amazing, except for was the photo mode in.
Oh, was it? I've never played the original. Director's cut was the first time I played it.
I don't remember.
It added support for the Dual Sense controller. I gotta call it the Dual Sense instead of the DualShock 5 because Sega sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Dual Sense controller with its force feedback triggers, which is a great feature, absolutely nothing uses. I'm into that kind of stuff. And the HD rumble and stuff. I thought it was actually quite good for that. It was a good little tech demo for what I thought was a neat little technology.
Well, and it's also something that, like I said before, with the trigger.
Yeah, Detroit
stuff.
was almost cool. I'm just going to spoil Detroit because I want to say one of the paths you can take with one of the robots is you can start like a robot revolution and start like a whole war, and President Hillary Clinton has to like back down once you dirty bomb Detroit.
Yeah.
So only the androids can live there. The humans have to all leave. And like President Hillary Clinton's like, well, I guess the robots are revolting, so really the only choice we've got now is to negotiate with them. It's like you go this revolution route, and it actually gives you a happy ending. It's not like, oh, violence is bad and doesn't solve anything. It actually says, no, violence worked excellently.
Yeah,
robots have rights.
He predicted the war in Ukraine and the aftermath of it perfectly.
He did.
Something that Kojima has said that he doesn't want to do is predict things anymore.
AJJ's got an interesting point that you can get the dumb bitch killed in the first 5 minutes. I didn't know that because that was definitely the weakest part of the game.
Yeah, I'd never heard that either.
There's like 3 characters and 2 of them are alright, but the third one's like really not great.
Mm.
It's like she's a domestic droid with an abusive master kind of thing, and she goes on the run and all kinds of boring stuff happens. She has to look after a kid who might be real, and it turns out the kid was actually a robot the whole time. It's like, fuck off.
Boring. Yeah, I watched AI with Haley Joel Osment.
It undermines the whole point as well. If you say, oh, the robot, you didn't realize the robot was also, you thought she was a real kid, but it's like, no, the whole point is that it's a real kid, and the robots can be trusted around real kids.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever. All right. Is there anything else that they added to the director's cut? They added like the extra missions where you go back to the
Oh
East
no,
Coast.
they added the vehicles that were like a long range bike, right? That had bigger batteries and more cargo.
No,
Which of course was stupid.
they added the long range. They had the long range bike in the original, but the
Really?
transport bike was a big flop that they added.
Yeah, that's just too much cargo at once, too
Yeah.
heavy, and all of a sudden it like completely outclasses walking around. So why do it?
Yeah. Well, the big problem is, like we've mentioned before, that you can't fall off the bikes. It doesn't feel real.
No,
It just feels like you're basically like in a mech suit once you get on a bike.
it's like you're trying to put shapes into the holes, and you don't need to even look at the holes. Just kind of feeling around and scrabbling it until it eventually goes through.
Yeah.
You're not going to break anything because we all played the whole shape game. We love that game.
The whole shape game.
Classic. Oh, it's classic.
So let's see. Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. That's
I saw you stream that, and my review is exactly what I think. Exactly the same as when I saw you stream it. Looked like a pretty good game with some rubbish music. If it had good music, it would be like actually quite good.
it's not
It
even
was
bad music. It's just not at all memorable or catchy or
it doesn't fit the theme. It's like you got some sort of acid temple, and you can imagine what kind of music might go there. Some sort of factory with yeah, Crash Bandicoot music basically.
Yeah.
But you can imagine what's going on like the factory level with the gouts of flame and the electric exposed stuffs. It's like you can imagine what it is, but instead it's like dinky ding, boop a doop boo, da 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 da. It's like what the hell? It sounds like the intro theme to like a bad mobile game.
Yeah. But
The most inoffensive thing possible.
is the music in that worse than the music in Death Stranding, where it's literally just this is Kojima's favorite album of the year, and you have to listen to it now?
Oh, what was the band called again? It's a joke. You go with the thing, it's like, oh, music's starting, who's it by? Oh, it's by them.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called, actually.
I don't remember.
Despite the game really promoting them, I can't remember them. But
Yeah.
there was one good song, which is the one they used in the original trailers. But I keep
Path
coming,
by Apocalyptica.
maybe. No, the I Keep Coming one, which I thought was pretty good. They
Oh,
used it in
yeah.
like the early trailers, but then the point where they used it in the game was like the most annoying part of the game. Being trapped on the beach is kind of cool, but the way they handled it was not that cool.
Where you just...
You walk in a direction, Sam gets depressed, looks down, looks back up. Oh, you're in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, don't look down, keep looking.
Yeah.
What you should have done is be able to walk along some sort of infinitely generated beach with cliffs too high to climb or something like that, or maybe you walk over the cliffs with great difficulty, find out the other side is just another beach.
Or just not make you walk through that for 5-10 minutes, occasionally interrupted by Amelie showing up and laying out more exposition while you sit there
God.
and don't care.
And I said, when you abandon the beach, that was kind of cool. Like, but you could have done that. Like, you're probing ways to get out, but so you think, I'll walk into the water, and that doesn't work. And you think, I'll walk up the cliff, and that doesn't work. And you think, I'll walk into the right. That doesn't work. But the way it doesn't work is just, your guy decides to get tired and then get on his knees, and then he appears back in the middle. It's like,
Right.
I'm not buying it.
Right. Yeah, it's not a good ending. It's not a good sequence. And...
No.
Yeah.
Good music track, though. Just shame's wasted there.
Yeah. So, again, is this, as the director's cut, better or worse than Ukulele?
It was the actual original game, I'd say better, because it's just a director's cut. It doesn't add enough to fix the game's fundamental flaws. And calling it a director's cut is just always obnoxious. It's a game.
Yeah,
Doesn't have directors.
he had full director's authority over the original release. It's not like anybody, like, he made his own company. That was the entire point. He doesn't need to recut it.
No. Well, it's less dumb than calling the Sonic Adventure re-release the director's cut. It's funny. Yeah, it's Sonic Adventure DX, but because the director's cut sounded weird, they call it DX or something like that.
Huh.
I think it's supposed to be director's cut. Which is, of course, the worst version of Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. Well, don't trip on that bar.
It's actually a pretty okay game if you like the music. If you don't like the music, then it's an absolute shit game. Don't play it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm not crazy about the music, so
Oh well, that's unfortunate.
it is.
Not even Skydeck. Oh my god.
Skydeck's fine. Alright, you don't even know what Blob Quest is.
Is it related to Creeper World?
No, it's an NES ROM made for a ROM making competition
Oh dear.
where you play as a blob that gets more blob abilities, like the ability to. It's kind of got a little bit of
Is it related to Boy Blob?
no you
That was NES Classic, which sucks.
no, it's like a Metroidvania platformer. It honestly reminds me of what's
Within a
it
Deep
called?
Forest?
Yeah, Within a Deep Forest, where you
Hey,
like one of the abilities is even you get the
bouncing ball.
yeah, the bouncing ball, except since it's on NES hardware, it literally just keeps your max height, so you can just hold it
See, so it's
forever.
up and down.
Yeah, it bounces up and down. But it was fine because
Sounds-
it was just made by one guy for a little event.
That's always fine.
So, um, I'm definitely not putting this below Frog Gun though.
No.
No.
Ukulele Impossible Lair. I would say it's better than that, only because Ukulele Impossible Lair has that fridge that I don't want to think too hard about.
Oh, the vending
Don't think
machine.
about it.
The vending
It makes
machine.
yourself sick.
The vending machine with the little it's like a
It's like a washerwoman, like a British pedophile's idea of what a sexy washerwoman might look like. Something. I don't want to think too hard about it.
ruby red lipstick and
Oh,
a little bit of blush. Yeah, that's gross. I agree. As gross as some of the stuff in this is, it never gets that bad.
no. So Ukulele is a better horror game.
Yeah, better horror game than Signalis in some points.
Ooh. To be fair, I never found Signals. Actually, no, I did find scary at one point. That was early on where I wasn't sure how the resources worked. So I was like, every time I saw an enemy, I thought it was a little bit scary.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
scream, give me a fright.
The scream,
But-
the scream was okay, but the scream was the same
Got
every
annoying
time.
later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
They
they,
were slightly different. The torches had a different scream, but it should have been unique to each robot at least.
it should have been more distinctive because I couldn't even tell any difference.
The torch has like a oh kind of one rather than like the high pitched scream.
It wasn't distinct
Sound more
enough that
frustrated than
I I wasn't playing it with headphones on. So
Oh, we're just ready to ukulele
so you
both
didn't
Mario
miss
in
it.
the game.
You didn't miss anything, Jenny. All right.
Anyways, I haven't got it in for yet, so that's something to look forward to.
That is what we're doing now. I committed to
Oh boy.
Death Stranding. So Infra, you care to explain yourself? How
I
did
think
you
this
how
game
did you
is
find
great.
this? How did you find this game?
Oh god, I saw pre-release stuff. This game was on my radar before it even existed. No, someone must be on the bad game forums said a game about being a structural engineer investigating a dam, and then you have the worst day of your life kind of thing. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I'm-
Source Engine, which actually put me off because I agree the Source Engine sucks. So when as I heard of Source Engine, I thought, oh, it's gonna be like a crap mod. And it is like a crap mod, but it was I eventually got around to playing it. I didn't play it for a long time after release because no one really talked about it much. They mentioned it occasionally. I thought, oh yeah, I remember that. It actually came out. So I played it and I was really into it.
Yeah.
Which so was Juman, as you can see. Big
Mhm.
fan.
Yeah.
One of these classic moments. I don't think you're supposed to beat this puzzle this way. I think you actually sequence broke.
I wouldn't
The
be
box ain't supposed
surprised.
to leave.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Of course, you wouldn't be surprised. You're not supposed to do that. Look at that. That's speedrunner strats.
Oh man. So many
Oh,
great
actually,
memories from this.
The game doesn't really have like gameplay in the traditional sense.
No, I'll admit straight up that these clips are not going to be very
Representative.
yeah, they're not representative of the actual
But
gameplay for the most part.
They are at the same time. I mean, most of what the game is there's two things that make the game appealing. I'm saying two things that I don't know what I'm actually going to say, but it makes it sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Number one is, of course, urbex. If you like urbex and you have an appreciation for the industrial, the urban environment, infrastructure environment, I mean, it's called infra, and you'll have a good time. You ever wonder what a sewage plant looks like? You ever wonder what like 5 different styles of sewage plants look like? We've got underground ones, we've got flocculation, we've got coagulation, we've got stuff you can look up on Wikipedia and feel very informed for knowing it.
Yeah.
Water treatment plants. There's several different types of water treatment plants, and the reason the game's so damn long is because I think they had basically every single style of water treatment plant. I'm surprised there wasn't like a coal power plant and a gas power plant. Oh no, I
No,
actually
they
found my
had the
power plant.
they had the factory.
I found my power plant by mistake when cycling around.
Yeah.
I thought I found a shortcut, so I went down, and it turns out power plants these days are like cargo container sized.
Hmm.
Because rather than have like one big giant efficient power plant, what
Distributed.
the small distributed ones about the size of a car container and have like a gas powered engine in them, which
Yeah.
I think is really weird and probably not that efficient. But it means people don't know where the power plant is and therefore they can't protest outside of it.
Yep. Yeah, well, there's that. There's also the arguments about like strengthening the grid or whatever, but it's not
Yeah,
really about that.
I think it's just nice to know where my power plant is. It's quite nearby actually, but they hide these things well.
Hmm.
Sewage plants are easier to see from maps. Like you looking on a map, you'll find them hidden behind all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
But
power plants
like I
not
say,
so
it's
much.
I find this stuff fascinating because it's part of the world you never get to see it much. And I like tunnels and I like dark environments and I like pressing buttons and lights. And that's the main appeal of the game. The other thing I thought was really interesting about it was the way it kind of touched on game genres despite having no gameplay.
So
So some
like
environments
this
remind me of
whole
Resident Evil.
place where you're in the apartment complex and you have to go around doing like little jobs for people.
Yeah, for money. Then it's just a mechanic of money, but you can't actually see your money.
Uh,
There you go. You put the turd into the cycling machine. Yeah, that was weird, but it's like it managed to hit a game right. They should have given you like 10 coins for that, just as a joke.
yeah, yeah. Instead, it just frowns at you. I think it even zeroes out your money in
Really?
that thing. I don't remember.
If you have money in it already, aye.
I wonder if you can soft lock the game. Probably. Oh, I hated this. I hated the keys with the labels that you can
Yeah, I
sometimes
agree.
read, and
It
then
needed a keyring
it
or
it
something.
it needed an actual inventory, and I don't mean like inventory
You
as
needed
in
giant video game padlocks in any door that was locked. So just so you fucking know. I don't care if it's not realistic. I just want to be
yeah,
able to see it from a distance.
yeah. It needed some way for you to look at the things that you were carrying around without it being the source engine, you hovering something
Don't
telekinetically
you
in
get
front of your
bulk cutters
face.
twice? Like you get bulk cutters at the start and then you leave them behind, and then you
Yep.
have to get them again later on in the game. And it's
Yep.
like, come on, just have them.
Yep.
Zach can't be good. He's Finnish, by the way. That's his accent. I think he's an authentically Finnish character. I think the character's quite good. He's like a stoic, weird jerk who has like an upbeat personality, despite the fact he's actually severely depressed and might commit suicide at any moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Just what most Finnish people tend to be like.
I hated it. I hated it because it didn't do it. Nothing with it actually happened in the story of the game. Like you'd think that the game would be about like you and your contractor company actually doing something about any of
I
this.
liked the nuclear power plant mission just because your allies were there and around. I saw you streaming when that happened. That really annoyed me because this whole map in the old mansion sucks. By the way,
Oh God.
there's a whole bunch of bugs. Did you get got by the one with the pump and the water level?
The
There's
pump
one
and
where
the
you lower the water level and you go through a level transition to like get to the next stage, but the water level in the next transition doesn't go down. Oh, sorry, in the first one, the water level goes down, but the death plane doesn't. It doesn't go down quite far enough.
no,
So
I
you're
don't
supposed to
think
walk
I.
through a puddle, but the puddle's just deep enough that it just kills you.
I don't think I got by that, but
Oh, it's a classic apparently because I looked into it because it took me a while to get past it. The game's got problems. Us,
well, the biggest problem is the engine, and
I agree. It's got a lot of sharpness filters over it. It's trying its best, but I don't think it looks good. It looks good occasionally. Like it's like it can do the concrete bits really well here and
That
there.
yeah, that's what I said. I said that the
Obviously, you can
one
do it so well that a tiny developer was able to crank out like 20 hours of maps, just
yeah,
endless.
I think that's just a core feature of the Source engine is that everything you make in it kind of looks shitty,
Yeah,
and it does have the ability to do materials pretty well. And it's really easy to make like really gross looking concrete material.
yeah. I did some Source Engine mapping a while ago, and it is a not a bad engine to work in. Although it still takes some like tricks to make round stuff. Oh, it's probably different now. It's probably really good now because of the they updated it.
Uh-huh.
Maybe not.
I would still recommend strongly against using the Source engine no matter how easy it is to work with because everything
Oh,
made in Source engine just
did that new
reeks.
Stanley Parable that I'm definitely gonna play. I love the original Stanley Parable, one of the all-time classics. Think about it every night as I go to sleep. Loved it. The new one also uses Source Engine because I know the original did, right?
I don't
And the idea of
remember.
a game using the Source Engine in this day and age just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you should have just abandoned this at this point if you're still working in Source.
I think if I played Stanley Parable at the time, I would have probably thought it was alright, just for the record.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as people think it is. It's got its moments, but playing it now, it's like really dumb.
It's just
How would you
sad.
play it now?
It's just sad. Like,
It is.
yeah.
In fact, speaking of old dumb games, I saw a guy play Eversion. Do you remember Eversion?
Yep.
And basically, the guy's take was also, oh, I remember this being really cool back in the day. Then he played it and he was like, this actually sucks. But to be fair to the game, it was like, one of the first games doing that kind of thing. Or at least first games doing that thing that people actually played.
kind
I'm
of
sure I'm sure there's like
the whole subverting expectations thing.
subverting expectations, yeah, and it's not just a dark world, but a darker world, and it keeps going. It's like, oh, I don't know how far it's gonna go. Not really scary, but it was interesting. It had some intrigue to it.
Hmm.
And it's just like some free crap. And then they made like a paid version, which is offensive
Yeah.
because it absolutely is not worth money.
Hmm.
It's a video game.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Uh.
Yeah, I did talk about it. I probably would have because it was on mine when I saw it. Like just the version.
Yeah.
And the other one, like I say, I compare that is One Shot. Did I mention that? Or did I mention that in text? I
I
did the
think.
One Shot was like one.
Yeah, we talked about One Shot last night.
Yeah, I mean, I've been curious of One Shot for a while because every certain kinds of people really like that game, so you hear about it occasionally, and I think, well, is it worth playing? I saw you play a little bit of it, and it looked kind of dull, and I know exactly what them games do. They all do the same fucking thing where it's like, oh, to really beat the game, you need to delete your save file or whatever
Yep.
to
Yeah.
free my soul. Please, brave god of a game player.
Yeah.
I never like that.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not well done in One Shot. One Shot does some other
Yeah,
annoying things too. And then the real problem with One Shot is that beyond that, it's really just a really straightforward adventure game.
it is. It's also kind of interesting the way like tries to sell its world and it makes it look absolutely rubbish, and you're more than happy to kill it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Save our world. Why? Why?
yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting if it convinced you that both the world and the cute cat were like both worth saving, kind of thing. And then you go, oh no, it's really put me on the spot.
Yeah.
But I also would
That's a
really hate
that's
if
a
it did that.
that's a big problem with Stray too, but we'll get to that.
Does it do the same thing?
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't make you try and carry the robots because the robots are dumb.
Yeah, yeah, it's you're saving the robot world by giving them sunlight, which they don't really need, but it gets rid of all the head crabs.
Headcrabs are a problem in any setting.
Yeah.
I yeah, Stray's something to talk about. Would you play
Well,
that this year? Is it in your list?
yeah, it's
Yeah, there it is.
I haven't
I didn't
played.
play it, but just you talking about it made me think. I'm glad I didn't play it, pay it mostly. I think if I played it, I would have probably come to your own conclusions. But did you know games cost money? And
Oh,
unlike the olden days, I don't know how to pirate things anymore. I'm so
well,
out of touch.
and in that case in particular, it's extremely over.
Oh, it was like £50 or something release, wasn't it? It was like absolutely bonkers. They thought they had a real game.
It's nuts. I don't know how they thought they could get away with that. Clearly they did, but
Oh yeah. It well the thing is I don't know if they did. I think it's got a very delayed reaction, but you can tell people didn't like it. At some point, some YouTuber's gonna make a video saying Stray wasn't quite the game it should have been, and then everyone's just gonna rip into it and say, I knew all along. Now I can gladly say it out loud.
yeah.
'Cause that's how people tend to behave, I've learned. So
Yeah,
you need permission to express their honest thoughts.
but you realize that that doesn't necessarily translate to any actual like consequence for the developer, the publisher,
Oh no, I
or
mean
anything.
stacks of money because no one dared say it was a bad game in the first month of it coming out.
Yeah,
I
it'll
asked
be a
around, and
sequel.
even people that were like, tepid about it were like, oh, yeah, it's okay. Maybe wait till it's on sale.
Yeah,
But I think the most offensive looking thing. We're not done Stray. We're going short twice. We're talking about Infra right now.
yeah.
This game has no cats. I don't think. Is that a cat? I feel there might be a cat in the city level. They should have one, right? At
I
least like a cat ambient sound.
I don't
Got
remember.
asbestos.
I don't think you see really anything that's alive anywhere that Mark can touch it. Like even the
Except
other.
towards the end.
Well, I have the clip in here of you in the town area where there's a bar and people are like dead face partying in it.
There's also the strike outside the railway station that even to this day makes the graphics run really slow. Because the source stations can't handle like 20 NPCs.
Yeah.
And there's the bit where you actually go back to the office that has some actual people you get close to, and they look like Source Engine guys.
Yeah.
And then during the new plant at the end, there's like a few NPCs hanging around that talk about you, which I actually quite liked. I thought the game needed more of that, other guys hanging around and doing things. So it wasn't just like.
Yeah. My
Although I do like the long stretches of lonely stuff, and I like some of the set pieces. Like my favorite one was that water tunnel where the water level's rising. I mean,
Mhm.
the alarms going off for a surge kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like you figure out what the problem is oh the door won't open. Why is the door won't open? You read the sign and it says when I played it, it was perfectly timed for me just to figure that puzzle out by dropping bricks into the thing just in time to like avoid the surge that was coming towards. Meanwhile, a certain game I'm playing it was a bit dumb and slow and didn't figure it out. So I can understand why I wasn't as thrilled by it as I was.
Well,
Things like that can't work for everyone.
the thing I thought uh, the game really needed was I agree. I think the long stretches of lonely stuff are fine and really important for
Vibe.
the
But you
vibe.
need to break it up occasionally.
Well, I said it at the end of my post that
I don't think that would have worked. I think it being the longest day is part of the appeal of it. If it was like an episodic thing where it's like you go into different places, it would have felt a bit more like you'd finish one episode and think, all right, I don't want to play any more of this. Having it long is probably what made you finish it.
no, I still
Finish it so you
didn't
can
want to
review
put.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I finished it so that I could threaten to put it under Stray.
Ooh, that's got to be better than Stray, right?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Anyways, what I thought was fascinating about it was one of these greatest hits games where it's like it managed to hit a lot of different vibes at once. Like from everything from Deus Ex to Thief to Resident Evil to Silent Hill. It had some spooky moments. It had some intriguing moments. It had
Now
exploration moments.
for people who aren't in the know, he's listing off a lot of real games there. Those are
Oh
games
yeah,
that
real
are,
games with gameplay
yeah,
mechanics.
yeah.
What I'm saying is just the way you explore the environments and the way you unlock progress in certain areas. I mean, a lot of it was very linear. There's areas where you did little puzzles which are cute and very infra, like most of the sewage and water treatment plant puzzles.
Hmm.
Which honestly, the last couple of them, I was thinking, oh, not another one of these. Interesting, but not that interesting.
Yeah, I think
But
I think another big problem with this game is the interactability of things where you have these really complex systems and the whole point of the game is exploring these large infrastructural places and figuring out how they function, or at least most of how they function. But
Yeah.
because it's in Source Engine and because it was made by an extremely small team, and because they were kind of lazy,
It
the
breaks reality a few times.
well, not just that, but also there's hard coded like you can only touch these buttons, and some of these buttons don't even do anything, and
Uh,
there's only one uh, way we can throw a wrench into that, which is by removing the fuse or the button entirely and putting it in a corner, and you have to go find it.
yeah. Oh, it sucked because later on in the game, later on in the game, they put like fuses just as like level props, despite the fact you never need them. But of course, at that point, you're like, trained and thinking, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
There's one funny bit where you escape the sewers and like the whole pile of valve handles, and it's like, that's cute. I get it.
yeah,
But they started using it as decoration because obviously someone else in the mapping team didn't get the memo that all these are important puzzle items. Don't just use them on shelves.
yeah. And so you
So
wind
of
up
course,
carrying them and then being like,
yeah,
I have to put this down, but now I have to remember where I put it down so
yeah,
that I can go find it later.
yeah. Video games suck. But no, I think I enjoyed it on the whole. I think, like I say, most of the appeal is just if you want to see these concrete environments and do some first person platforming, and if you think Finnish guys are funny. That said, I do agree with you that the guy needed more custom tailored like reactions to stuff,
He needed
especially some documents.
he needed actual reactions to the actually interesting things in the game.
Yeah, like you
He,
find the nuclear bunker, and it's like, oh, they actually killed a whole subway train full of people because they didn't want the secret getting out.
yeah.
And the only thing you guy can say is
Oh,
intriguing,
yeah, yeah.
fascinating.
He has the exact same reaction to that as he does to like
Tax returns.
or people admitting that they skimped on writing down maintenance logs.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that
I don't know how much the voice actor cost, but I don't think he was like that expensive. I'm sure they could have hired him for another like couple of hours.
I think it's laughable that you think this guy got paid for this.
Good
I, I'm
point.
I'm pretty sure he was part of the
Well,
group
maybe
already.
maybe it was enough of a favor.
Mm.
I do like his voice acting, by the way. I think that it's part of the game's novelty is having a Finnish engineer who's just really. They kind of make too much like a joke of it towards the end because obviously you get the feeling the game was developed in one big go where they played the early sections. Then as they're getting towards the end, they'd already kind of had this idea of what the early game was. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It changes it up quite a lot. Like here you enter in the city level, which thought was one of the more interesting parts of the game, just because it's a bit more open and there's
yeah,
like loads of little side areas, and you can actually like find keys and unlock places, read documents that give you hints on how to access other areas, and all that's in there is a thing you can take a picture of and say intriguing.
yeah. I
Now you
think
can
that
read about the corruption or whatever.
I think the big problem with that is that the game does change over the course of the
You know what
game.
it reminds me of?
What?
Deus Ex Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Deus Ex Hong Kong, you don't do any shooting unless you're a weirdo and you really hate the Chinese. But
That's me, baby.
mostly you're going around just digging through the canals looking for items that might be interesting or useful. And I'd say this game feels like that at points. It also points feels
Except
like
you're not
Thief once you've
finding
knocked everyone.
except you're not
It feels
finding
like Thief
anything
once you've knocked everyone
useful.
out. Once you've knocked everyone out in Thief and you're going around just trying to like 100% the level kind of thing or find as much treasure as possible.
Right.
Feels a bit like that at points.
I absolutely agree. I also think it's extremely tedious and unfortunate.
It is, but as we've established, I love running errands in games.
Yeah.
I love going back and forth to the box. I love
And
planning
you
out my
love
routes in Memoirs of Magic.
and you love
Like, ooh, what will I
mini
do next?
trains. Mini trains,
I
right?
love mini trains. Choo
Yeah,
choo.
Mark loves mini trains as well.
Actually, I hate mini trains. I think that one Half Life segment made me absolutely disgusted by them.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I see them in a game, I think, oh god.
Here we go again.
It's always it got to a point where I like playing Half Life. I'd play it like every couple of months, kind of thing, for a certain point in my life. But I'd always no clips at the end of that fucking level. I really hate on the rail so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a little on the nose that the name of it is on the
Yeah, the
rails.
name is on a rail. Ay.
Mm. So,
Half Life is a pretty good game.
yeah, it's alright.
So Infra, what are we gonna rate it?
Infra. Let me see here. It
What's
cannot.
Aperture Desk Job? Is that like a VR game?
Aperture Desk Job is It's a free game that you can download onto your Steam Deck, and
Ooh,
it functions as the button
killer app, is it?
test. It functions as the button test, because the Steam Deck has so many different buttons and knobs and switches and stuff on it. Like it's got like
Do you have
eight.
a Steam Deck?
Yes.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh my god!
Yep.
Did you get a good deal?
It. I got it as a gift, so yes.
Oh, that makes sense.
The
'Cause I can't imagine why anyone would buy a
the
Steam Deck.
the best deal. Anyway, so Aperture Desktop is a Portal universe themed um, tester for all of the buttons and knobs and switches that and trackpads.
I think I can imagine how zany it is. I don't want to hear any more. I just want to confirm that it was what I thought it sounded like.
Yeah, it's really
So is it?
bad because it takes way too long. It takes like 10 times longer than it does to just open the actual application and make sure they haven't sent you a dud that you have to mail back.
It
And
also feels like a kind of thing Valve would do, where they're like up to an ass about making a Portal themed game, but they're not actually going to make a a game people might want to play.
right, right,
They want to make good games.
which is exactly what they did with Alex for the their headset.
That game looked so unappealing. Maybe it's good,
It was.
but
But this year I played
is it?
the VR mod for Half-Life 2, which was way better.
Ooh, the Doom 3 VR always looked pretty good to me.
I never wound up playing it because they
I've been watching that one guy stream, not stream, but let's play it. I guess it's not too bad, the videos, because he's a decent let's player. He's a terrible streamer, but it does look like clunky, and there's certain things you'd like from it, but it actually does look pretty good. Mostly because VR Doom 3 has some nice environments. You can
yeah,
tell the graphics have been downgraded to fit on the Quest, but it still looks like a nice game.
it's also a good fit for VR. I think better fit for than a lot of other things, just because of the way
It's very
the
simple, you know.
yeah,
Like the entire challenge is, can you turn around and see there's an enemy behind you? Oh my god!
which is
You had a door open. Where did it open?
which is genuinely tough for a lot of people in VR.
I hated Resident Evil 4 VR, man. I thought it'd be, good, but it really wasn't.
Did you re-borrow it to try the mercenaries mode?
No, I thought the base game was so boring, and it didn't feel like I was in the game. I've played VR before, like where I was actually quite impressed by it. Like there was the HTC Vive a few
Mm-hmm.
years back, but the Oculus Quest 2, whatever it is, was just, and the Meta Quest 2 was just, oh, the optics suck. The whole thing just feels rubbish.
Yeah,
I
well,
was
I mean,
not impressed.
it's
What I was
cheap.
impressed by was,
Yeah,
what do they call it? They call it lens or something like that, where you can see through it, pass
yeah,
through lens.
pass through.
That actually looks pretty cool. It's like you feel like a robot.
Yeah,
You're
that's
just looking at your own room through like a stupid headset that's rendering a 3D environment based on scans of your room, but it's still pretty cool.
if it wasn't as big and uncomfortable as it was, I'd love just like walking around like that.
That's what I kept thinking. But yeah, I think the Pro one does that in color, which I'd actually kind of like to see. Although I think in black and white's way cooler.
I'd like to see, but I'm going to caution you against doing what you feel instinctively is right and dropping all of your money on the Pro.
Oh god, I don't have that much money to drop in the Pro. I dropped all
Um,
my money on a new stupid phone, which I'm still regretting.
I mean, you can get one of those little holders, headset holders for that, and turn it into a headset. I'm sure.
Actually, I had one someone gave me it years ago.
Yeah.
Might still have it just because the lenses look so useful.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't, but I got so many lenses. One of these days, I'll learn how to use them.
All right, let's get to the ranking of infra. Death Stranding
Oh yeah.
Director's Cut. We didn't.
Right, let's see. No, I'm gonna rank this one.
Uh,
It's my stream now.
oh no.
Grimlock. Oh, they made more Grimlock. Oh, a mod for it.
Mm-hmm.
Grimlock looked alright. Probably not as good as that. Probably not as good as Unsold. I don't know what the hell that is. But if you think it's better, Bionic Commando, I'll trust your judgment.
Thank you.
It's probably more my kind of thing than Signalis, but Signalis is a better game. I would recommend to more people. Hammer Fight, I don't think I played that, so I can't really judge it. Sifu, that looks like an okay game. It's got no character, whereas this game does have character.
Yeah,
It's
this
better than Flashback. Flashback sucks.
it's very similar to Flashback, where
Should I say the line? Should I
you
call it a step platformer?
no,
So
almost,
funny.
almost had that.
Oh, it's a cinematic platformer. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
No, it was Yahtzee. Yahtzee came up with the phrase step platformer because he was making one at the time, and I think it's an interesting discussion that could have been held, but oh no, it didn't happen. The interesting discussion is the idea that immersive sim, you know the genre immersive sim. That's a word that's appeared recently, and it's
Yeah.
a stupid word for it because Thief is now like Deus Ex. It's got vague similarities in that as a good PC game, and you can sort of freely explore an environment. But that's like there's loads of games do that. GoldenEye is an immersive sim, but it might as well be.
hmm
Most of these games have similar vibes, and people want to say all these games have a similar vibe. I wish they were a genre, therefore people make more of them. Because once you say, "Oh, it's an immersive sim," it's like all of a sudden it sounds official. It's like I'm making a Thief. Like, no, you're making an immersive sim,
yeah.
which is
Well,
interesting.
yeah,
So Yahtzee basically did the same for step platformers, which was before anyone called them cinematic platformers. He came up with the phrase step platformer because he's making one. He didn't want people to say, "What is it like some sort of Prince of Persia, like one of the queer games on the Mac?"
yeah. But the cinematic
But
platformer is better.
it probably is. But the point is, I'd heard the term step platform because I believe in the vast authority that is Bum Yahtzee coleslaw, which is a
Uh,
joke that I keep stealing from the best gamers, and I think it's the funniest joke I've heard in my life.
yeah, it's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
So yes, Infra is kind of a step platformer. It's kind of cinematic. There's a lot of
Somewhat cinematic.
there's a lot of
It's a
moments.
survival horror.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where you have to walk through a canned escape.
Oh
Which
yeah, it's very cinematic.
yeah,
Seeing it right now. Yeah,
and
that's it. Doing platforming and cinematic. There you go. It's a cinematic platformer. That's why I like step platformers because you're stepping towards the ledge and then you jump. It's like, oh yeah, I get that.
like Mega Man.
Every step counts. Nah. Mega Man isn't that. Mega Man, you run towards the ledge and then jump.
No,
Step platforms is you
no,
step back and then you sprint and you time it all perfectly. And
no, because there's another ledge above you. So in Mega Man, you inch towards it until you've just got like
is it
one or
better
two
than
pixels.
ukulele? Is it better than ukulele?
Infra.
I think it's got more character than ukulele. I think ukulele's a competent game, but it's also disgusting.
I never threw down ukulele and said I never want to touch this again.
Yeah, but you're just really unobservant and you don't have an appreciation for the urban environment, the built-up environment,
Uh huh.
the concrete jungle.
Uh huh. I mean,
It's better than Frog Gun.
it is better than Frog Gun.
I didn't play Blob Quest, but I think a game that's actually authentically an NES ROM made in this day and age is actually sort of cool. Because I know a lot of games, I know there's a lot of them exist now, but I still think it's cool and like making an 8-bit themed game.
Yeah.
I could say that more disgusting if I tried. Themed game.
Theme. 8-bit aesthetic.
Oh, you rate Haiku pretty low.
I didn't like Haiku at all.
Neither did I, but I thought you loved Metroidvanias regardless.
No,
all
no,
born equal.
that's the thing. That's the thing. I love the genre, and I think there's a lot of interesting things you can do with it, which makes it that much harder on me when I play one that doesn't do anything interesting.
I think someone just wanted to make some sprite art, and the game was incidental. But they didn't even make nice sprite art. It's just very ordinary.
No, that was Slain. Slain is.
Oh no, that's a very ordinary game with really lavish. I wouldn't say it's good sprite art, but it's. I appreciate that the developer was devoted.
Yeah, yeah. And then he went on to make an actually good game. Gumball says, sorry, Jumander. He either convinced me to get Haiku or he bought me Haiku. I don't remember. I'm not mad.
Sad.
I'm not mad.
I don't blame you, Gumball, because he loves every Metroidvania.
That's not true.
It was a perfect gift.
Look,
How could you have known he would have burnt out at that very moment?
I put Metroid Dread way down here, and that's a real Metroid game.
I was actually going to comment on that. Like, yeah, people really like that. I didn't
People,
even look at it.
man, people
I don't-
have problems.
Yeah, I just don't think Metroid as a genre that much. As a franchise, I still think it's that interesting.
It
It's like all the walls made out of boogers.
it has the ability to be a really good style of game, and most of the time it's not well done.
It's my problem with it might be that it's got this weird like sort of This is gonna sound insane, but I hope you agree with me. It has this weirdly fascist vibe, and I think it needs to embrace that and become sort of interesting instead of just kind of like being like, "Oh no, it's a kids' game. Ignore the fascism."
Metroid?
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. You know, you're playing as some sort of bounty hunter, and you're doing all this and that, and it's like you go
Yeah.
to an alien planet and you kill all the wildlife, and it's like it's got a bit of a vibe to it. You're not supposed to think too hard about it because it's a kid game. You think it's a kid's game, you can make it just Kirby or something. Doesn't matter. You play as a pink blob or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But point is, it's got this look of being an adult game, but it's not because it's like for kids.
Well, I think originally it was more of that because I think it was originally styled over the styled intentionally styled like Aliens or Alien.
It is, but it's no adults had NESs. NESs were kids. This is the 80s.
Well, yeah, but it was a Famicom game originally, and there were plenty of Famicom games that were directly marketed towards adults.
Really? Didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was the thing. It was the family computer. So you have the dumb kids games, which were the vast majority of them in the arcade ports, so that you could keep your kids from, shaking you down for money to go play at the arcades. But then, you also had the things.
To be fair, the first the first Metroid is like interesting in that it's the first.
Yeah. It's bad.
And
It's a bad
I heard
game.
that. I was watching that one guy, what's it called again, Mandalore Gaming, reviewing System Shock, and he mentioned that it came like System Shock came out the same year as like Metroid, Super Metroid. It's like holy shit, really?
Yeah.
It's crazy how early 3D overlapped with like NES, SNES games. And you think, yeah, of course, because Doom came out like a year before System Shock, and that had loads of the Sega, Nintendo Super fucking idiot console for moments. What's it called again? The Super Nintendo. That's what it's called. It's a dumb name. It's a bad name for a console. Mega Drive was better, but even Genesis was better. But it's just weird because you kind of forget that. So all of a sudden now in my head I'm comparing System Shock, which is a really good game, against Super Metroid, which is it's okay. I like the Grinstar music.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are really into it because some people like just picking away at a map.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like a large, very well realized world that you can explore and kind of learn more about the routing of and the structure of in a different sense than say like people bringing up Zelda. Like Link to the Past is also like a big.
Oh, Zelda sucks. The only good Zelda game is Majora's Mask, which is like a shockingly good game considering the rest of them suck.
Well, beyond how they are as games, it's that they were things that games hadn't completely pulled off to that point, at least not on those platforms.
I don't know. Goemon on the Nintendo 64 is a better game than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
It came out before it.
Yeah.
It's one of the tragedies of gaming is that they never followed that up with an actual 3D game. They made that crap 2D one. What was it? Goemon's Great Adventure or something like that?
I don't even remember that one.
There's two Goemon games on Nintendo 64. Both got great music, but the first one's like a Zelda-ish game.
Yeah.
It's worth playing if you haven't. It's actually pretty good. It's clunky, and you can see that Zelda does certain things better, but it was a massive commercial failure. So after that, I thought, well, we're playing it safe and making a 2D game because we know they sell well in the 3D era. So this made like a boring 2D game with bad controls, and it's like really not good except for a really good soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah.
You recognize the soundtrack; it's pretty famous. People use it all the time for the flash animations.
I've definitely heard it. I know about the game. I just didn't know that they made a second one.
No, it's just disappointing.
That's probably why I didn't know about it. All right,
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Let's get back.
So Infra is
Infra. I want to compare it a little bit more to Flashback because you
know the joke, of course, would you listen to me and put it like higher than Hammer Fight, then of course when I go offline, then you change it. That'd be the good joke, right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
See, that's why that's why you're not a real streamer.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think of that. Anyway, flashback. I, will, I think this has a really core similarity to it, where like flashback is really important to me, and I think it's really cool, despite it not being a good game at all. And
I understand.
I think this is similar for you and Infra.
But what I say about flashback is, I think what flashback has is that every first step
Step
cinematic
platformer.
platformer, every cinematic platformer that someone
Just
first plays is like really cool, blows them away when they're a teenager kind of thing.
uh
But but Infra is a very unique game. You got to put that into account. There's no game like it, and there might never be a game like it for some reason.
here's the thing. It's not a very unique game because playing through it, it's all the worst parts of Half-Life 2 distilled.
Mm, I think it's got more attention to the urban environment than Half-Life 2 had. But I can see what you mean. Actually, no, oh, that's a great idea for a Infra, but Half-Life 2 setting. So you just like
You just like
structural engineer looking at the force fields or whatever.
yeah, you're
Hey,
like maintaining it by
even
moving the energy orbs around with a
if
gravity
you made
gun.
that, you'd make Half-Life fans very happy because that's what people want from Half-Life 2 is like more just hanging out in the setting.
Yeah.
It's an alright setting.
Less like shooting stuff.
Less shooting stuff and more just like, oh, these people going beyond this force field to their jobs. What are their jobs like?
Their jobs
Everyone knows the
suck.
beta idea was well, the beta idea was the Manhack arcade. People would go and pilot Manhacks because
Yeah.
they're bored.
Yeah.
But they cut that from the game, which is a shame because it's a pretty cool idea in a horrible way. So what do you think?
So can
Better than
you
Frog Gun?
much better than Frog Gun.
Yeah, that's where I put it then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everything above this just has it's at least as interesting, but a lot more playable.
Yeah. It's also a game made by people who were really into this thing, which is of course the urban environment.
Uh,
And that's admirable. You can tell they really loved all this concrete crap.
yeah.
Like, they saw them Japanese storm drains and went, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and like looking at a giant concrete building and going, I wonder what's in there. And then you go in there and it's like, oh, half the doors are permanently welded shut.
That's a sad part.
Yeah, you really want to be able to like go into everybody's desktop computers and look at all of their meaningless emails.
Well, you make them meaningful through excellent writing, which this team should have definitely done.
Yeah, excellent writing. I I
I
I,
think what's there is pretty good.
I did like the some of the Easter egg stuff did land pretty well for me, like the coffee maker.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good. I think you missed a lot of the details of that when I saw it. Like there's some spooky stuff if you like brew the evil coffee.
Uh,
Like some sort of zombie man comes through like the black and white. As he gets
I
close, it returns to normal.
I thought I brewed all the coffees, but I might have only gotten like the hallucination one.
There's two hallucinations. I think there's one with the nice colors, and there's the one that has like a black and white mode. And at some point, like a spooky zombie man starts walking down the hallway towards you, and as he gets close, then returns to normal.
I don't
Which I
remember
thought was
that.
like, no, it was like a weird like horror moment in the game. It wasn't really scary because the game's not really fostering that atmosphere. What I did find scary though was the Silent Hill rooms in the bunker. I thought they were kind of creepy. Obviously, when you stream the game, it's different because you got a whole audience there. When you're alone at night and it's dark and you find some creepy mules, it's like, man, that's
Well, I
what.
mean, I don't get affected by in-game horror that much in
I get
general.
affected by in-game horror if it's subtle. No, it's like you're expecting something to happen. So it's like at that point I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna like introduce zombies or something. So I'm looking around and then I'm getting a bit nervous, thinking, oh, they're gonna jump scare me. When's it gonna jump scare me? Is the pipe gonna burst or something?
You
And
do it
that
to
can create a bit of
yourself.
tension.
Yeah, you're doing it
Yeah,
to yourself. It doesn't
exactly.
get to me that bad.
I mean, in a game like this, it's like you question if they'll do it because the game's so insane at points that you think they might actually decide to have a horror segment. How do
Yeah,
you run
but
from zombies? Who
at
the
the
hell
same time,
knows?
it never goes completely insane, which is kind of
No,
to its detriment. I think is again
I
like
think the nuclear power station is the final area is pretty good, especially when you go into like, the water to get there. I thought that was like I didn't expect to go that far.
it was bizarre.
Like,
It was bizarre that they make you go into the actual core and get exposed to radiation, but then you don't
I
have
hear the
like a
worst ending is you die in a radiation poisoning if you take too long in there.
I think it just kills you and you restart from the beginning of that section.
And then I heard it was like one of the worst endings if you really don't do anything. It's like the place your hotel at the end upgrades.
Uh-huh.
So you end up, like either a really fancy one because you've gotten all the things, or you end up like in a mediocre one, which is
No,
if you got like a decent amount. And if you did rubbish, you end up like in a cold shack, dying of radiation poisoning,
I
which
think
is kind of funny.
I think you can abandon the nuclear power plant at some point. Like
Really?
they're like, "Oh, you need to get out of there." But then I went in. But I think as soon as you go into the core,
You're
it
trapped.
well, yeah, it forces you to do that puzzle, and then if you don't do the puzzle fast enough, you just
Also
die and
sucks.
restart.
Ah,
It's not even really a puzzle. It's a task, like most of the puzzles in this game. It's a task.
it's a missed puzzle. You're figuring out what the task is.
Mm.
Obviously, it's easy. It's like flicking a light switch.
Mm-hmm.
You turn on a thermostat, but when you don't know what a thermostat even is,
Yeah.
it takes a bit to figure it out.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I think the problem with that is that uh, it only really works as like a puzzle if you're completely stupid and
yeah.
need to be walked through stuff, but the game doesn't walk you
Anyways,
through things enough if you're
Game
completely
of the Year. The
stupid.
year it came out. It's just a shame this year had so much stiff competition. So it was
Yeah.
beaten by Jets and Guns 2. Oh, I thought you didn't like that. It looked rubbish.
I I was very disappointed in it, but I like it. I liked the first game enough that even though I was disappointed in the
Bit of
sequel,
respect for it, yeah.
yeah, I was like, well, at least they finished the sequel. I never thought that that game would get a sequel.
Mm, I'm surprised I didn't get one sooner, to be honest. I think it's a bit late to do it now.
I mean, I
Like,
think
it's got competition in the indie scene.
there was so much going on
You want
in
cute cats?
there was so much going on in Czechland that
Oh, the Czech game.
yeah, yeah, Rake and Grass is a Czech developer.
Shame Half-Lane to you, because it lends some insights, because as we know, every Czech person knows each other.
Well, I think no, he wasn't around for me ranking that one. I did that earlier today.
You definitely follow the stream. I was talking to him before having dinner, and
He
I came back up there to start the stream already.
yeah,
He's gonna like meet his real friends and do like fun activities.
yeah, yeah.
Bastard.
But don't worry, I recorded contribution, which was
Oh why?
Grimrock and Wishlayer.
Ah, I see.
So if he agrees to it, I'll put it up and you can listen to it then. And if you agree to this getting put up, then he can listen to this later, or I can just send him the file or whatever.
I think if anyone listens to recording this,
What, you didn't realize I was recording?
oh no, I realize you're recording. But I'm saying if someone listens to the recording of this, I think that I don't know. It's hard to imagine someone would want to listen to a recording of you, right?
A lot of people said that they wanted last year's, and
Really?
I have the recordings and or at least of most of them because I did get a couple file corruptions on it, which I'm taking care of
Hmm.
this year. But
Was I here last year for the
yeah,
Steam?
yeah, you were
I think I
on.
remember mumbling a lot.
You were on for Mega Man's, a couple of the Mega Man's, and
Yeah, I like Mega Man till the SNES.
oh,
On the Switch.
Resident Evil Village was the big one.
Oh yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, we talked
It's
about
such a
that.
shame because Resident Evil 2 remake was pretty good. The Resident Evil 3 remake was like everyone said, "Oh, it's the B team." It's like for the B team, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
So I thought the Village might actually be quite good, and it
Nope.
really wasn't.
No.
Oh, well, you see the DLC for that, by the way.
Oh, I don't care.
Oh, you shouldn't because it's absolutely crap. But it it was like it was made for trailers because it's like, oh, there's an evil version of the Duke. Like, oh, what's that about? Well, it turns out it's an evil version of a Duke in a dream sequence because
Of course.
you play as the
The
oh, where do I
daughter.
begin with that? You play as a daughter. She doesn't want the mold powers because she gets bullied for the mold. It doesn't explain why she gets bullied for the
Bullied for
mold.
the mold.
She's bullied for the mold. And then of course she so she decides to meet with a creepy scientist who's like fat and like I wouldn't leave him alone with her teen girl.
Uh-huh.
But he's like, oh, you got to go into the mold. We got a sample of the mold, the mutomycete. Remember the mutomycete, the collective memory thing from the first game. I mean,
Uh-huh.
from Resident Evil Village, that was
7.
like a weird plot. And it's like, why didn't you introduce that? It makes no sense. It's a weird thing to introduce, then just kind of forget about. Anyway, so you go into the mold, and you go into the collective memories of the mold, and there's an evil version of the Duke, and loads of clones of Rose that are getting killed by the evil version of the Duke. And then it turns out it was all just a dream kind of thing, and there's still alive the witch, whatever she's called from the first game. She's still trying to revive her dead daughter or whatever the hell. And part of the plan involves an evil version of the Duke that kills a whole bunch of Roses. And it's like, eh? So clearly what they did is they had this idea for like a creepy visual. Although if you ask me, it's kind of like it gives off a vibe that I think everyone that kind of knows what the vibe looks like sees it and thinks, oh yeah. And it's like pornographic in a way, but like not in a horny way, but like in a sicko way.
Yeah.
It gives off that vibe. It was generally an unpleasant experience. Then, of course, after that segment, which was made for the trailers, just so people were like, "Oh, the Duke's evil now. That's interesting. I need to play this."
Yeah.
They immediately drop it, and it's just like a revamp. You return to the Castle Day Metro Zoo. There's nobody there, but more mold zombies. It's like one enemy the entire game. It really sucked. But it sucked when it was so bad. It's quite impressive.
That they dropped the ball that bad after
They
having
dropped the ball that bad.
having like the easiest
I mean, the easiest thing to do for the DLC is just to focus on the big tall lady. Everyone loves the big tall lady.
yeah.
I really thought that it was so obvious, but they didn't even appear in it. Just weird. Although you do see a giant bathtub, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, it should have been just that sort of stuff. Like she still never shows up, but you see more and more big things that she used.
Yes.
Giant toilet. Oh, this is
Oh, the ramifications.
It'd be cool to play a 10-foot PC and have to duck through doors and stuff. That was fun when I hacked a Blade and Sorcery to be like 10 feet tall and just grab people and throw them around.
I finally matched the actual real high fight.
Yeah.
No, what was the thing? No, the Resident Evil 7 had some okay DLCs. Like the one where he plays, what was it called? Jack Baker? Joe Baker?
Jack.
He plays like one of the Joe Baker cousins that just punches stuff. It was not good, but it was like novel at least.
It was funny.
It was funny, exactly. So why didn't they do that with like Lady Di? Plays her for claw hands. That would have been pretty good.
Too much inspiration there.
Too much inspiration. Plus, I think they'll probably make. Well, actually, I always think one of the Resident Evil. They'll probably. God, I lost my train of thought. Tends to happen. I was too busy thinking about that tall lady and going, oh. But I was gonna say, crap, that's gonna annoy me all night. This would be interesting if I forgot what it was.
Sorry about that. What was that?
I was saying I had lost my train of thought, so I spent like 5 minutes here going, what was I thinking? It's not Lady Di. The
like the alternate
Joe
mode
Baker.
for the DLC.
Yeah, but it was some sort of dumb point I was going to make, and I forgot what it was.
That they didn't have any like instinct to make it fun or novel. Yeah.
That's what actually distracted me, is because for a second I remember one of my dumb thoughts, which was, Resident Evil will never let you play as a mutant. Then I thought, well, I guess Mold Daughter kind of counts, right?
Well, so does Mold Daddy.
And also, so does Wesker's son, who plays in Resident Evil 6. So it does it occasionally.
And so does what's his name?
There's Sherry. I think she's also got like mutant
Yeah.
powers.
Yeah.
So that'd be completely wrong to say that.
Everyone in Resident Evil has some sort of superpower.
Well, everyone's spoken to Herb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
No. Hmm.
Hmm.
I got a lot of thoughts about the game, but it's like what ones I want to say and what ones I don't want to.
I mean, about Resident Evil
Resident
Village,
Evil 7 was really bad.
we talked so much about it last year.
Probably did.
So
It's just the DLC was shockingly bad. Like it would have been so easy to make a DLC that pleased everyone. Just make it about a tall lady.
yeah,
You know she's the bad guy. People just want to see more of that.
I literally didn't hear anybody talking about the DLC after it came out. Like it
was
came
it?
out and a bunch of people played it and streamed it, and nobody
say,
cared.
That weird pornographic vibe I had to it, I think, is what put people off. I think people don't want to talk about it because they play it and think that was weird. It's like you know, like loads of young girls getting like swamped by mold men and dragged into like mold pits, and they make the sexy moans as it's happening. It's like the whole thing just feels like weird, and the fat guys are watching it and going, "Ooh, this is I'm into this." It's like this is just like the whole thing's just grotesque feeling, and it feels like you don't want to talk about it unless you're like me. I'm slapping my thighs.
You get
But-
put on a list.
And getting put on a list. No, I think it happens in a few things where something feels sort of pornographic and grotesque enough that people just don't want to talk about it. So it kind of makes it through, like just exists in the background. There's occasionally people say, "Oh, you know, that sounds like it could be alright," but no one wants to say, "Oh, don't want that. It's gross."
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
no one wants to admit that they saw it themselves, and that's the feeling they got from it.
Well, and
So I think our DLC's in that kind of realm.
and also nobody wants to be the person who like points out something that seems gross to them, but it's only gross to them because they're gross.
Yeah, because they've read media from Japan and they're tuned to the general concepts.
Yeah. And it's like me with Frogun with the death animation, where it's like I don't really want to think that much about why it is, but it's like scratching at the back of my mind that it's
It
odd.
bothered me too, but seriously, it was as I described. It looked like it was trying to downplay the threat for your character, but at the same time, there's a threat there for the enemies, which is you killing them.
Yeah. Which
So it's
you,
like
you do
the
trivially.
contract would be you're in danger, therefore it's okay to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of your person's at no threat at all, and they're just going around stomping on bugs because they're a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I think this is fair enough for Infra. I don't know that anyone's gonna talk about Stray.
That I didn't see it. All I could do is talk about your review, which may sound awful.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. I'll probably save
No,
that.
because I just talk about chibi robo voices and try and bring up the Haunted Down disc, which sucks, by the way. But I can't help myself. If anyone has like a compilation of game demos or short games or game jam things to play, I'll go through them. I love doing that.
I'm sure you are, or I'm sure you do. Just find a bad game. I don't.
Well, I suppose what you're suggesting is I should hang up, right?
Well, I figured we
I'm
should.
overstayed my welcome.
I was gonna ask you, did you play or watch Pentiment?
I never heard of it.
Oh.
Pentiment.
Pentiment. Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what it is. I never even heard of it.
I'd love to tell you. Go ahead and Google it.
Alright. Say 20% on Pentiment on stream.
Pentiment.
Oh, got it in my date of birth. 1969. Very funny. Blood gore. Suggestive themes. Oh, God, yeah. I remember seeing bits of this.
Pentiment is Josh
Is that
Sawyer's latest disaster piece.
Sawyer. It's Josh Sawyer again. Is that Obsidian?
Obsidian Rope Kid, yeah.
Yeah, Rope Kid. Actually interesting. There's been a few games I looked at this lately. The one I saw was Astrologaster, what it's called.
It doesn't sound familiar to me.
It's based on a true story where you play as a guy in this sort of 1500s or maybe 1600s. I can never tell. And he's playing a fraud doctor who's using the stars to diagnose people. And it's basically like it's not that good, but it's sort of novel just because it's like, you know, based on a true story.
Yeah.
But it's got the same kind of graphics where it's like trying to look like it's a period piece, but it also just looks like a Flash game.
Yeah, that's my main problem with Pentiment is that it people were saying that it looked super authentic and, you know, like no, it looks like a like the
looks
little
kind of amateurish.
cut out cartoons. Yeah.
It's novel though. I mean, it looks like it could be interesting, but I definitely don't want to play it because it looks hideous.
Yeah, I would not recommend it.
Focus on character development, nice dialogue, choice-driven story. Oh, choices! I love choices.
No, it doesn't have.
Josh Sawyer.
The choices are fake. The choices are smoke and mirrors.
Oh, that's actually not too bad. I don't mind that.
Oh, what about Midnight Protocol? You played that and hated it, right? Did you ever finish it?
Did. I gotta look it up. What is it again? Yes, that was the hacker game. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh god, and I went back to it. It looked fine. It looked like the kind of game that you would like enjoy. People like you might enjoy, but people from my esteemed location didn't have
like
time
me.
for.
People like
didn't have time for it.
Yeah.
It's far too busy. Far too
busy. Yeah, you're so busy. You've spent 3 hours now talking about.
Hey, it's Christmas. I'm taking the week off.
Oh, okay.
This is my holiday. So I'm spending my time off. No, it's been fun so far. Midnight Protocol, it looked like it was okay, but it kind of did everything I expected it to do very early, and I was tempted to play more to see if I had more ideas behind it, but I didn't like the whole hacker, like cool dude hackers hanging out in the bar, and like she walks in and she puts a cigarette out and I don't know, a rain slicked black onyx hair. It's like, are you describing?
I don't.
Something annoying.
I don't remember it being like that at all. It was more like you're a hacker in the sense that you never leave your room.
That's what I would like. That's what I'm going to. Once it describes all these people getting together into a bar to discuss their latest hacks, and they're all really cool guys who smoke and like wear life jackets or whatever. It's thought. Oh, it doesn't get it. The whole point of being a hacker is you're supposed to be anything. You can be like a fat, obese, sweaty person, but it doesn't matter when you're online. You're whatever you need to be.
Yeah.
Which in this case is a cool hacker.
Well,
it's transcendent, is what I'm saying. That's the fancy of hacking. Is it's transcendent.
I mean,
you don't need to be. You don't need proof that you're actually sexy.
Since you're not gonna finish it, probably I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. That is the whole point of the character development, is that you are not Data. Data was killed by the government basically, and you're a government operative who is impersonating him and trying to infiltrate his circle to get information.
To be honest, the way the game is going, it made me think Data and his circle sound like a bunch of knobs.
Well, they are. I mean, that's the point, is that they basically, like, his circle basically sold him out, and him coming back is like an oh shit moment for everybody involved, where they thought he was, like, they figured he was dead, because he is, and that he was in prison forever.
I did think they'd do something with that, but the whole idea of having the cool hackers and you're supposed to find them loathsome, that is a good twist.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems with hacker stuff, is hackers always come across loathsome unless you make them a bit more authentic. And basically make them Linux nerds who are extremely principled. Data has to be free.
Yeah.
Not like...
well, that is one thing that I think Midnight Protocol did well, is the 3 different hat experience things, where you have you get white hat points for doing things that are, you know, pro, you know, basically the government and the corporations, where you, like, you know, do things that are quote unquote ethical because they're legal. And then you have the black hat stuff, which is just you being the evil asshole hacker who steals people's college funds and stuff like that. But then there's the gray hat XP, which is the vast majority of it, which is just your rep to other hackers for how good you are at hacking. And it's got nothing to do with, like, the ethics of it. It's just, you know, what you're capable of.
You turn into a vending machine.
Right. Turn into a vending machine
Fucking
with a little washer
oh god,
knit thing and ruby red
those
lips.
kissable lips. Ugh.
Which game is this? Watch Dogs 2? No, we're still looking at Infra.
Early preview Watch Dogs 3. Did they make a Watch Dogs 3? I haven't been paying attention. I don't think I've
know.
enjoyed a Ubisoft game since the first hour of Far Cry 2.
Yeah. Nothing they've made has been good recently. Or for a while.
I got a French friend, who's currently in Montreal, and he managed to take a picture outside the Ubisoft offices. And they got like banners up with all the different Ubisoft characters. Like, let's have a look what I got here. There he is. You got the guy.
The guy.
You got the woman with the
in
face
the
paint.
hat. Yeah.
Darkened eyes. You got the guy with the dreadlocks. You got the guy with the mask.
The Mohawk guy.
He's not there. See, if you did the definition of insanity guy, I'd think, oh yeah, I know him. He was in Better Call Saul. He was alright.
Yeah. But they don't even have him.
They don't even have him because he's like from 10 years ago. We're old. But the rest of these, I don't recognize any of these damn characters. I think that guy has a beard. He looks like a Viking or something. Maybe he is.
Yeah, Jenny pointed out that they did make Watch Dogs 3. They just didn't call it Watch Dogs 3. They call it like Watch Dogs London or something. It's the one where you constantly bounce between interchangeable, diverse Londonites.
The pig guy that put on the cover and was like, that's just hideous. That puts people off buying the game.
Yeah,
that's not. It's also not cool.
It's also the one that the big gameplay demonstration showed that you can play as a grandma who like shuffles around with a walker. But she's also like, secretly
mind hacking people.
Yeah, well, she's overthrown the government because Granny's with it. Yeah.
I guess a specific character, just like a randomly generated thing.
I have no idea. I assumed they were all just randomly generated.
I was gonna say it's randomly generated. It's born. If it's a specific character, I'd think that's actually kind of interesting.
I assumed that
they'll fuck it up because it's Ubisoft, but it's sort of interesting.
I assumed what happened was that they took the generation of NPC like features that you could scan them from Watch Dogs 1, and we're like, what if they were just all playable? What if they were just all playable and they, we had the one guy that had AIDS, and you can play as the one guy that had AIDS that's walking around, and I guess they all get hacker skills too.
It's a dumb feature because I'm not sure it's supposed to be some sort of commentary. The idea you sum somebody up by the Facebook profile so you can say, oh, they're really into Bitcoins and they own a cat.
Yeah.
That's the entire person. It's entirely like dehumanizing. Now, that could be an interesting angle, but I don't think they ever did that because I think Ubisoft are assholes. I think what they actually want people to do is say, this guy is a boss, a landlord, and he steals from his tenants. And I'm going to be doing the world a favor by shooting this guy in the fucking ass. I'm sure you would be. He sounds like a bit of a bastard, but playing judge, jury, and executioner based on the Facebook results is like, you're going to trust what social media tells you.
It's a little
commentary there.
It's a little too realistic and prophetic. It's something that should be in a Kojima game.
It should be, and it would be interesting if you revealed at some point that all that stuff was fake, and actually the people you were assassinating because you thought you were doing the world a favor were secretly like cool guys, online hackers, and you'd been spending the whole game blasting them because you thought, a boss that raises his workers' pay deserves to be shot.
Well, more than that, it's that the corporations have gotten a hold of the scanning technology, the social media tags that people have on them when you scan them, and they just manipulate it. You're getting
Does that actually happen?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, that would be a good way to take it.
That would be.
But it might be a bit too much for Ubisoft player. I think they want a little sad power fantasy.
Yeah, their minds would explode.
I mean, whilst I hung out with the dreaded normies, but they always tell me things like, they play Fallout 4 on God mode.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I want to feel like a god. I don't want an idea that I could possibly die. That's why I play games, to feel like a god. It's like, what?
Why are you playing Fallout 4 in the first place?
It's who they make games for, man. We're the minority.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming.
I love coming.
I think it was Jenical said, because I said something like, oh, she loves coming. And he goes, "Oh, She Slept said he was coming, but that just meant he had a I can't
Commitment.
remember. Yeah, no, like he had a dog over or something.
Oh, that's very
So,
funny.
yeah, pretty funny. I thought I would scroll up, but it's been way too long. I believe your
Yeah,
dog
we
was
deleted by
barking,
now.
and I said, "Oh, She Sleeps here." Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty good actually. It's very on the timing.
yeah, and it's taking into account the things that were happening environmentally around me.
Exactly. He
Yeah,
should be a streamer. He's very observant.
yeah. Good work, Janicle. He saved the stream.
Oh my god,
I'm doing
what an
the
accusation.
I'm doing the he's right, point at that chat. All right.
Well, I feel I've overstayed my welcome. I've been driven out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to shut this down. Go get something to
Ah, that's
eat.
fine. I'm
Um,
just glad we managed to get infra higher than how do you put it again? For good. Yeah, that's good enough.
yeah, above frog gun. And I will tell you outright, I'm definitely not putting Stray above that.
Good.
So
I still talk about Stray just from the few clips I've seen that piss me off. But the one thing I will say is the animations just drive me nuts.
it's so bad. It's bad for a game
it's
that's
like
only the animations.
it's like there's two versions of cats in the world. There's cats that are as they exist, which is goofy little gremlins, which we all love. And
Mm.
there's cats as like cute concepts, like for Christmas cards and stuff like that. Cats that don't actually exist, but old people might think cats look like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the one they're waiting for.
Here's the main problem with playing a game where you play as a cat is that cats don't really do shit most of the time. They lay around.
That's what I mean. It should have been basically a game about a cat trying to stay alive, as they're getting chased around some unwelcome place.
Yeah.
Because they're a stray cat. No one wants a stray cat just showed up in the house, do they? So they get chased out, and by happenstance, you end up saving the world, kind of thing, just by like knocking things over.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been a good game. That's what I thought it was going to be.
That's
all the robots be like, "Get the fuck out of here, cat."
That's
And
what
you're like,
that's what it should have been, but no, all the robots kind of love the cat, and they don't even mind if the cat trips them repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again.
the fact you talk to the robots is just defensive. At that point, I'd say, yeah, what a crap sound game. I'm glad I didn't spend money on it. It's spent $60 on it as a real game.
God, it's
Like you
so
said earlier, by the way,
overpriced.
that the game being overpriced actually helps people think it's a real game, and I think he's right.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone. Someone should tell him that said that.
Oh, we will. Like I
Maybe
said,
it's
this is
the
all
niche
being
now.
recorded. This
Oh,
is
good.
being
You can know.
this is being sent straight to the NSA.
Thanks. All right. Well, goodbye.
All right, bye. All right, that was an exhausting conversation about some okay games. Pingas. Yeah, seriously, thanks for showing up for that. And thanks everybody for watching and chiming in. We're halfway through now. And I think most of these are going to be... a good number of them are going to be people I'm bringing someone in on. I'm going to have to coordinate, figure out when Biceps was around earlier, but I wanted to get She-Slup in. I still don't understand what this is about. Is it a tier list? Yeah, it's a strictly linear tier list. Thanks for showing it a shitting child 40 times. I didn't do that. Infra did that. But, yeah, I gotta run, take care of some stuff, heal my throat. This was a lot of fun. I'll see you guys later on.